We're rolling. We good?
We're good? We're on?
Yeah, we're on.
I knew you weren't going to tell me when we started.
No, I'm just saying we're rolling. I can cut this part out and then put in like an intro or something. But I mean, normally I don't like to. I like it to be just this.
Nice and cash.
The couch is comfy. Sit comfortable, like relax, chill. You're good. Get in the that's the Brian that I know and love.
So, anyways, when I get into character,
right. Well, before that, I was going to ask you, what are your views on Palestine? I'm just joking.
I think you said we were going to open up with my opinions on Kanye. Yeah.
Right. Yes. Oh my God.
You know, I offend more people with Kanye because I was never a huge fan of the music, and when I say that, people are like.
I felt like his stuff, I mean, don't get me wrong, like a guy obviously has talent. You can't, so whenever someone's like super successful, you can't deny that they're like talented. You know what I mean?
For sure.
But his stuff was kind of like his stuff in the early 2000s and like mid, 2010s was kind of overplayed in my opinion.
That's kind of what I thought. And I mean, his biggest song was like a Daft Punk hit.
Yeah, well, that's where I'm at, okay. But I mean, the proof is in the pudding. The guy's a billionaire.
Exactly.
Like you can't really.
I love how we still started out with Kanye.
Yeah. Oh, that's great, isn't it? That's good stuff. I know. Oh, so it's weird because I'm like weirdly nervous, but I'm also, I mean, I know you, so I'm not that nervous. Are you nervous?
No. Should I be?
No. Well, maybe. Depends on how deep on Kanye you want to go, So Brian McDonald, thank you so much for coming in. I'm super happy to have you here, man.
Thank you. I'm excited, and I gotta be honest. When I saw that clip of you and Kyle, you said nice things. I was like, I definitely want to go in now.
Why would I say bad things?
Well, I don't know, but it definitely made me. I was like, I got to do this because you asked me like I think a year ago or something, and I don't think I even got back to you.
You didn't. So I had to force it. I had to force it because with the clip and everything else, because I'm like, yeah, I'll just put them on blast, and you know me, you know me. So it's like if I. You just can't hide. That's what it is. You can't hide.
I was hiding for a bit. I was sad during the summer. It was a sad summer.
Because of the strike or just why?
Well, the strike, so there was no auditioning, and then it just, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, that kind of started it, and I just kind of, do you ever just kind of isolate and it's not anything particular?
No, I pretend it's not anything in particular, but something will usually bug me, and then I isolate, and I say, oh, nothing. It's not that I'm just isolating or whatever, but it's, I'm a big dramatic fuck. That's why.
Oh, I am too. Sensitive and dramatic.
You are. That's what makes you a good actor. What made you isolate? Is it something you want to talk about or not really? Was it the strike really? Was it work related or was it like family shit? Or how's your mom? Sorry, ADHD. How's your mom?
She's great. She
love your mom. Love your mom.
Yeah, in case people are wondering, because she read for me when I auditioned for your show, Four of a Kind. So yeah, she's good. She just had back surgery. So
is she okay?
She's good. Yeah, it was actually like a re-surgery, but like everyone in Boston knows her now because she reads for me.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
But yeah, she's doing well.
I'm assuming you get similar reactions from other directors and casting people and stuff that see your tape. They're like, who read with you?
Yeah, and sometimes I have a rep in the Southeast now, and I don't get a lot of auditions, but when they hear her accent, because she can't hide it.
Right.
So they're like, because sometimes you do, like, oh, I'm taping out of Atlanta, and it just doesn't read when you hear her accent.
Yeah, no, that's funny.
So
yeah, no, she's really great. But yeah, why were you isolating? Tell me.
Like June was a great month for me. That was right before the strike. I worked on a pretty big film, and a couple other independents. I was working a lot. I tie up a lot of my self-worth and confidence in acting and working, and when it goes away, and I also put a lot of time into it, training, all that BS. Mm-hmm. Avoid swearing on this?
No, what? It's Howard Stern, kid.
Oh, okay.
Do whatever you want. Listen, here's the thing, and I told Kyle this because I made fun of Kyle. I don't know if you saw the clip of Kyle before. I had him on, but I had a clip about Kyle and how he's like actually really PG, but I'm like X-rated, so he always laughs at me because I'm super uncensored and everything else. But the truth is, when I had him on, I just wanted him to be able to show it to like his college kids or whatever if he wanted to, because we had a great conversation.
Yeah.
And he was like, no, it's fine. It's your show. I'm like, I know it's my show, but if nobody else watches it, like it's pointless.
Yeah,
so like, as long as we can talk about anything, we don't even have to talk about acting if you don't want to, We can talk about whatever you want, but
Good.
whatever we talk about, just know that millions of people potentially could see it.
Fantastic.
For when either one of us are famous and this becomes like a big interview.
Oh, yeah. That thing never really bothers me. The whole, like, people are like, well, what if a lot of people see this? I'm like, I weirdly don't care about it at that point.
I mean, I wouldn't go on a podcast if you didn't want a lot of people to see it.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
But at the same time, I just mean 15 years from now, we never know what's going to be cancelable.
Oh, right. Look, I'm already going for the vape.
Go for it. Yeah, whatever relaxes you. Have fun. Enjoy.
So to finish that other thought, yeah, I was like, oh, well, now what? And like, I suck at dating and all that bullshit. You mentioned my mother. I've been living at home to save money while I'm doing this, starting this acting journey.
Interesting segue. You're bad at dating, and then you mention your mother. Go ahead.
I know. Well, that's because she's like, can you get out of my house, get married, and give me grandchildren? You're in your 30s.
Right, but you've kind of been all over the place, though, no? Like, we talked about this when we first met, when you auditioned for Four of a Kind. Like, you used to live in L.A. or, like, around L.A.?
Well, I went to college there, and then I stayed for a little bit. Yeah, so L.A. and West Palm Beach for a little bit. And I mean, I lived in Boston. I had a office job, you know what I mean, like a 9-to-5 type thing. So one of the risks when you go try to be an actor is you're going to be low on money for a little while. Or a filmmaker, of course. I mean, it's
yeah.
You were crazy. In sales, right? Car sales?
Yeah, I did car sales and I did finance, and then it was mostly because I thought that it wasn't possible to do anything acting or filmmaking wise on the East Coast because I used to live in LA.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, I'll just do it anyway.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have the feeling that you have to be in LA, and I think at some point in your career, if it brings you there, fine. But just going there for the sake of going there is totally unnecessary.
I was just talking about this with my cousin literally yesterday on the phone. We were saying how he was talking about you need like this expensive mountain bike or whatever it is. And I was like, you really don't need necessarily this expensive mountain bike. I'm always big, and everybody who's ever held a camera around me, like on set, knows this. I am huge on using what you have and like making the best of it, because if I'm going to spend $150,000 on a big camera, but you don't know how to use it, what's the point of spending the money? So like we were talking about artists and art supplies and stuff like that. And I was like, I'm sure you've been to Michael's at some point, or you've been, like at some art supply store in your life. Yes,
recently, I have a funny story too.
Okay. So like, you know how they sell like charcoal, right? Like little like slabs of charcoal to use for drawing.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Right. For $25, whatever. It comes in a little plastic container. It's really pretty, whatever. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Go out back into the fire pit where you had your fire last night, where you were drinking beers with your buddies, and grab a piece of charcoal out of the fire pit and use that. Any like professional artist out there who like knows how to use charcoal can use the shit from the fire pit and make the same thing if they use the $25 thing. So it's not about necessarily like the I don't want to say the quality, but it's not about the equipment necessarily. It's about what you do with the equipment.
Absolutely. I mean, I find that sometimes with filmmakers, we can't afford a sound stage or whatever. You have this beautiful stage, this landscape, New England, and if you know how to use lighting and stuff, and if you have a great DP, I agree with you on the camera thing. Because I used to be into like DJing.
I love you.
I waited because I knew there'd be a laugh.
Oh, but the wait was what made me laugh.
Yeah.
I just wanted to hear the story.
So
you're so quirky, man. This is why I love you.
I know.
But go.
I don't know. I went to like a rave and I was like, DJing, that sounds cool. That sounds better than accounting or whatever. So I bought all the stuff, like the cheap stuff, and then I like upgrade. I spent like $5,000 on this DJ equipment. I get it home and I'm like, I don't know what to do with any of this. I was terrible. So I eventually sold it. But it's to your point, like you could go out and buy a red Helium 8K Pro camera. Yeah. If you're a novice, you're a novice, there's probably people who can do more with a Blackmagic or even an iPhone if they really know what they're doing.
Oh, yeah. There's literally there's no limit to what you can do. And I mean like some of these, like a Canon T2i, I've just seen some crazy stuff be done. And everyone always asks, like, what camera did you shoot it on? I'm like, whoa. Why does that matter?
I know.
Like, think when did they start doing this?
You know why? It's because Netflix, for some reason, has a list of approved cameras.
If you don't think I've looked at this list, you're crazy.
Yeah, and I think like a red something is the minimum.
Yeah, they have a Blackmagic Ursa Mini Pro, I think, is their minimum one. But like, how would they even know if it's Blackmagic and once you export it?
That's what I said too. And also some people are asking that. I'm like, do you have your script done yet? Do you have your short film script done yet? Let's worry about Netflix later, you know?
Right.
But I think that's why people ask. Also, is it taking away something from the cinematographer to be like, what kind of camera? It's like, how about who shot it? You know? Maybe that.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think that, and then there's like the editor, and then there's the colorist, and there's a whole bunch of different things. There's the, you know, art department, the costume, like it all matters. And I think it's really interesting when you have people who are like, what was that shot on that looked really good? And it's like, dude, so much more went into it. Have you ever looked at raw footage before in your life? It's fucking horrible.
I don't know how you editors do it. You must hate the film by the time. Are you so sick of it when you're done editing?
So what I tend to do, and I want to hear your art supply store story as well, but what I tend to do is I will edit a scene at a time, and then throughout, you know, periodically throughout the process, I'll like watch the whole thing back from the beginning. And then if there's a flow issue, if there's something that I can stop and go back and adjust it. But by the time it's done, yeah, like I don't want to watch it anymore. And then 6 months later, I can go back and I'll watch it with fresh eyes and be like, oh, this is cool. Or like, oh, I can't believe I did this, you know?
Yeah, because and get out of that like looking for something to fix mistake thing. That's how 100%. It is for me with like acting stuff too. Or like self-tapes we have.
Tapping your leg, whatever.
Yeah. Am I doing that now?
No, it's four of a kind.
Oh, yeah. I want to talk about that too. Now, the art supply store is quick one.
Yeah,
so,
tell me.
Because I was living at home, I was just like, I just need to get out one. It was like Thursday night, and I was just like, I'm going to go watch the Thursday night football game at Buffalo Wild Wings by myself.
Yeah. So, wow.
And
crazy life you live there, Bri.
I know. So, because they don't put it on TV. It was like Amazon Prime or whatever. So I go to this bar. There's this dude sitting there, and he just says something about the game, whatever. We start talking. He's a trucker. He drives trucks across the country. Mm-hmm. And he was asking me how far away Michael's was because he was unloading his stuff, and he was going to get an Uber. And I was like, dude, that's like a half mile away, so I'll just drive you. Not noticing that, like, I came into my hometown bar, met a dude, and then left with him. That's, like, the thing. I just walked in.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
No, there's nothing wrong with that, but, like, it's like, I went there to watch the game. It turns out he's an independent rapper. His name is Beirut. His music is... Shout out. He's on Instagram. His music is fire.
There you go.
We went to his truck in the back of Michael's parking lot. I was like talking about acting.
What did you do in his truck in the back of Michael's parking lot?
I know, like I've told this story several times.
It's not getting any
there's no good way to end it except that like this is exactly what happened.
Did you sharpen his pencil? I'm sorry. Like what did you do?
No, he just blasted his rap music when I dropped him off at the truck, and just because he wanted to show me like his albums and stuff. If he sees this, he was a cool dude.
Yeah.
But he said to me when we got to the Michaels, because, you know, the trucks are in the back.
Yeah.
I see your face.
I'm just listening.
The trucks are in the back. He's like, if you want to drop me off here, you know, it's cool. I was like, nah, man, I trust you.
Why? Why do you trust? I mean, no offense to Beirut, but like, why? Why do you trust him?
Because I wanted a story, man.
Okay.
You know?
Oh, well, then you got one.
I went on a Thursday. Yeah. I thought I'd meet, you know, maybe my future wife. Instead, I met
Beirut.
And, you know, you got to get out to live life. But
right.
That's my Michael story.
That's fantastic. That's great. Was the music good?
Yeah, I thought. I mean, it was like, the production value was good.
Yeah, that's the main thing, right?
Yeah.
That's good stuff.
It looks like someone recorded it, you know, in their apartment, and you hear an echo. But this was like professional. I was like, oh, cool. I was like, I was in a commercial once, see? And he's like, yeah, I don't give a shit.
Oh, I watched Northern Shade. I watched the whole thing, and it's a very good indie film, but I was disappointed in what they did to your role. I heard your voice multiple times, and it was like...
I was not a big character in that film.
No, I know, but even when you were on screen, you were masked up for most of it.
Yeah. So the thing was, Chris wrote that movie, I think like 2018, 2019. It got delayed a bit. We filmed it in the heart of COVID. We all got COVID tested before, like we did for Four of a Kind, but because it's a feature film, I think he was just looking for a way to not have people get sick and miss work. So he incorporated COVID into the script.
I didn't think it was poorly done.
I think it might have caused some sound issues. I don't know. I mean, you kind of...
No, I think it was great. I mean, I watched it. I thought it was fine. I was impressed.
Oh, no. in post they did a lot. I think there might have been some ADR that had to be done because it does muffle your voice a bit, but that's why. Yeah, and I post the frames of me in the end, which is like the only time you really see my face. It's my first scene. My back is to the. You don't see my face.
Oh, when you're in the church?
No, there's something before that.
Oh, yeah. And that's what I mean, when it was just your voice and I was waiting to see you. And then I saw you were in the church, and then you're in the back room of the cop place or whatever, and you're a cop. Again, a cop.
That was, I think, the first one. And I booked Don't Look Up while I was working on that, wearing my wardrobe from Northern Shade.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. It was also my worst, not my worst set experience as far as like the crew and cast and everybody was great. It was the one time I really screwed up in a scene. And it was it was my last line in the movie. And I remember my instincts was to say it softly, and they're like, no, it's gotta be, it's raining, he's down. And I couldn't hit the line. I guess it's happened to everybody at one point.
Sure.
We got it. Right. They told me we got it. I didn't know. And I left the set, went to a Wendy's, ordered everything on the menu, and I swear to God, cried in the Wendy's parking lot saying I was going to quit. Well, because it hadn't happened before, and I was like, oh, it's stressful when an actor can't, hasn't happened since.
So what made you go from like accounting to acting?
I was an account manager. Accounting just sounds even more boring. I was completely unhappy.
Yeah.
And I just kind of looked ahead to the future, and I always wanted to do it. I always kind of had that foot in the door. I'd take an acting class, and then I guess it was just like a now or never thing. Some other circumstances in life kind of came about, and I was like, let's just try it. We're not saying it's going to be a career or anything. Let's just really give it an honest effort. And then once I wasn't afraid to admit it, it slowly started to be like, okay, this is okay. Like, and maybe I'll take a part-time job. I'll start bartending because I'm really into this. And then it just kind of, it was a risk. It's not, I don't have a great answer for you. I don't think by quitting my career where I made 3 times as much money compared to now.
I did the same thing. What are you talking about?
Yeah. It's, but yeah, that was kind of it. Just follow your heart and stop following your head. But you think everyone else is telling you to do,
Why? What were your premonitions around acting before you did it? Like, what would hold you back from doing that, Because no one's going to complain. I guess the reason I'm asking, right, is because let's say you were really good, which I believe that you are, but let's as a person who's watching, right, and who's thinking about getting into acting.
Sure.
If you're really good at acting, the sky is the limit with regard to income. We know that. So well, like what was the premonition? What was the issue?
I guess everyone around me, I wanted to just check all the boxes and be like, look, I'm good. I got a job. I'll get a girlfriend. I'll get the house. We'll do all the normal things. I went to college. I just want to do what I'm supposed to. But I've never been a normal guy. I've always been kind of abnormal and quirky and awkward and maybe funny at times. And I didn't ever really fit into any group. So that was kind of crazy. And I couldn't not do it anymore. And it was like, there's no harm in taking, like, what do you think, you're going to be made fun of? Who cares? I was 30 when I got back into it.
Right. Did you do any acting when you were younger?
Like little school plays and stuff. And then I really started to learn about it in college. I would take electives because I transferred to school in LA. So I kind of had some extra credits. I could kind of
Where'd you go?
I originally was at Brandeis University in Waltham, here in Mass.
Yeah.
And then I transferred to Loyola Marymount, LA.
Okay, yeah.
And I was also on the cross country and track teams. I was on scholarship, so that was kind of the main focus at the time.
Right.
But anyways, yeah, that was where I got the acting bug, so to speak, and then I waited another 9 years. So don't wait 9 years.
Yeah, just do it.
Just do it, and you never know. Like, a lot of people think like, oh, I didn't go to Juilliard or this, that, and the other. Man, there's so much untapped talent out there. People that don't even know how good they could be at this.
Oh yeah, people are just afraid to try.
Yeah, and we could always use more people. People think it's like a competitive thing. Like if I tell them about it, it's going to somehow cost me a part or something. And
yeah,
I think it's the opposite.
No, I think it's so cool because it's not competitive. I love art in general, and it's so much more collaborative than people think.
Yeah,
like you need everyone. Like from my perspective, you need everyone on set. You need the actors and the crew and everything. You need your post-production people, and then like you need the audience, and like you need everybody. Like there's no exclusivity really. I feel like there can be when it comes to like Hollywood red carpet, celebrities, blah blah blah. Like people think of it as like this gated kind of thing. But like
for sure, no. That's another thing. As far as like acting, I wasn't as into theater. I wanted to do movies, and I go, you have to be famous to do movies. Like I thought one preceded the other, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Almost like the, I guess, nepotism thing, but I was just like, no. And now, because making independent film and short films is it's not cheap, but it's more affordable than it was 20 years ago.
Definitely.
And that's why I love doing that stuff, because you get on-camera training, you know?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Have you ever had, what's your worst set experience you ever had? You don't have to name the names of anybody or anything, but like tell me.
Oh, not like acting relate, not like that thing.
It can be. It can be acting, or it can be just on set. Were you doing were you in a crew ever? Like doing crew stuff?
I've like been on both sides as an actor, a little bit crew one time, but never like I haven't directed anything. I'd like to someday. Yeah, I wouldn't want to name it. There's only one I can think of.
Okay. Is it my set?
No.
Oh, okay.
No. Not at all.
Okay, well, like,
no, yours was chill. Yeah, I just felt like the creatives, the director, the filmmaker wasn't keeping the environment safe enough for some of the
I know what set this is. Okay, I know which one it is.
Some guest you had recently would be familiar with.
Yeah. No, I know what set this is. That's funny. I mean, it's not funny, but like it's funny that I know what it is.
But that's it. I mean, everything. There's always going to be fights, and someone's going to blow up, and it's going to feel like
it's a creative environment.
Yeah, the train's falling off the track. So if people are going into this expecting like someone's going to yell at you at some point,
right,
and you're going to yell at somebody.
I have noticed that like the bigger. I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead. Go.
No. That was the end of it.
Yeah. I've noticed that the bigger the set, the less fighting there is, and what I mean by that is like when you're first starting out as an indie anything, actor, filmmaker, you know, behind the camera, in front of the camera, when you're working with other people, there's a lot of favors that get asked of people, and usually it's by other people who make films. So like I'm just like a random role. So like a first AC, right? They don't necessarily have any creative input on set. You know what I mean? Like they're there to assist the DP.
Right.
But when the first AC, as an example, makes like their own films and stuff, and they're a friend of the director, and they're there to just help out the production or whatever, you know, it's like there's like a line that is blurred, and people can walk up and be like, so I was thinking maybe you should do this instead. It's like, dude, just do your fucking job.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You need to have that sort of hierarchy of who's in charge here. And, you know, sometimes it'll be more collaborative as an actor on a set with a director, like, you know, and share ideas. I think that's fine. But ultimately, it's their movie. The writer, director, you know, a lot of times with indie films, it's the same person that wrote and directed it.
Sure.
Because they have the whole vision in their head. So if you know, that's what I've, you know, step back and that's a learning experience too. Because when you get on these bigger sets, it's definitely going to be that way.
Oh yeah.
But you also want to, you know, sometimes have a conversation, even if it's not disagreeing, just kind of, you know, talking about the scene and getting that open dialogue with your director going.
Yeah, 100%.
I personally like, you know, when the director's kind of close by too, and not necessarily like super far away in Video Village, depending on the set.
That's an interesting take. Why is that? Why do you feel that way? Because I feel as a director, I feel the exact opposite.
Yeah. Well, I guess in a weird way, it's like, it's interesting, like as an actor, it's I hate to say this, but I kind of like to check in with them and get their like approval.
That's not a bad thing.
And not necessarily like you did amazing in that take, but just like we got it. And then it kind of, and sometimes if they're far away, you hear it from somebody else, and I'm in my head like, I don't know.
Okay, so that I disagree with. I mean, I get what you're saying, but
yeah.
I would never do that. So when something's good, I'll let you know. If something's bad, I'll definitely let you know. But but if something's good, like I personally want to make sure that I'm letting people know. I might get a point. There's a couple like bullet points that I always hit. I always make sure that I know everybody's name, because I don't want to do the hey you thing. I'm not that kind of person. You know, I want to know everybody's name. And but when it comes to like, you know, during a take, I like to watch Video Village because I'm making a movie, and that is my movie.
Right.
So
no,
like,
and that's what most people are going to do. They want to see how this looks.
But well, it's funny that you say that though, because like Quentin Tarantino stands next to the camera, and the actor, you know, he says the actors want to perform for him, essentially.
Yeah,
you
I
know?
mean, it's similar idea. I mean, I feel like he's all over the place with his movie. I mean, he's probably checking. I can't imagine him never checking the playback either. But
yeah,
he's a guy that wants, from what I've heard, I haven't worked for him, you know, a very specific tone. You say his dialogue exactly as written. So
yeah, there's a great Howard Stern clip where Jamie Foxx is talking about his time on Django. And Quentin pulled him away and was like, at one point they were like, okay, cut, Jamie, come here. They pulled him into like a separate room or into a trailer or something, and he was like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, what are you doing? You know, just do it this way.
And it's Jamie Foxx. Like, he's not afraid of anybody because it's Quentin Tarantino.
I think that's actually it's an interesting point that you bring up, not being afraid of the people that you work with. And I know you don't mean like afraid.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, he works with the biggest stars in Hollywood, and he has to kind of be like, boss them around. There's no babying them in a sense.
But I think you brought up a good point about like, it's your movie. Like, yes, they're in the movie and you always feel blessed. It doesn't matter if you're making something for free or if you're making something for $50 million. Like, you always feel blessed that people are there in front of you and working. You know what I mean? From a director standpoint. But at the same time, like, they are on your set to make your movie. So like, you have to be able to like tell them what you want, you know? Because at the end of the day, when everybody goes home, if they did a shitty job or if they didn't do what you asked them to do, I shouldn't say shitty job, but if they didn't do what you asked them to do, then essentially you're just going to have like a crappy, you know, you get left with the mess is what I'm saying. At the end.
And trust that because a lot of, you know, we might want some big, say it's a big emotional moment. I have tears in my, we could be like kind of living in the wrong movie. It's just not right for that take. And that you get an adjustment and you don't want to fight them on that. You know what I mean? Because it could look off. They have the whole vision in their head. So, yeah, I would agree. I would agree with that.
So you're SAG.
I am SAG, yes. SAG-AFTRA.
What has that been like? And do you regret joining? Do you love that you're SAG? Does it matter to you? Tell the truth.
Yeah, no. I have big dreams.
Sure.
You know.
Rightfully so, I would say.
Thanks.
Yeah, I love I think you're incredibly talented, and I think you do a great job on every set.
So, you know, the biggest Hollywood movies are films made, you know, with SAG actors, and it was always like a thing of, eventually. Locally, the difficulties of it, I've been a member for 2 years. I was eligible for, I think, 3.
Okay.
On that Don't Look Up thing.
Okay.
Which, if we want to go over that story, we can. So I think the tough thing in New England is there aren't as many films here to begin with on the big SAG movies.
You think?
Not compared to like Los Angeles or Chicago.
Okay,
or New
but
York.
nothing's going to be LA. But the tax incentives alone in Massachusetts, I mean, there's work right now, there's films being made.
They're great, and hopefully we'll get a lot more. But we don't do a lot of union commercials here. So
commercial work, yeah, that's true.
I think the last time I was at your studio, I was actually coming from like a non-union commercial, and they wanted to rehire me
when you popped in to visit, yeah.
Yeah, and they wanted to rehire, and you can't do that. It was non-union, and most around here are. So you give up that work a bit, but what I'll say is between Finest Kind, Don't Look Up, and that Super Bowl ad, I mean, that paid more than I've made in anything else altogether. So like, it was worth it on those. You just got to it's a personal decision to a lot of people when the timing is right. I mean, we have the micro budget contract now that you can make little indies by just signing a piece of paper essentially. So it gets difficult at budgets beyond that. Probably more difficult on your end. As the actor, I'm just like, I'm SAG, figure.
Well, yeah, that definitely is annoying for me, for my position. But especially when you because I'm very big on like reusing actors in things. I like, and I really it doesn't bother me. Some people have issues. I was talking with Seth Chitwood. I don't know if you know who that is. He's a producer from Rhode Island.
Yes.
He was on recently, and he was talking about how when he was making movies, people would be like, "Really, you're using the same like 10 actors over and over again?" And he was like, "Yeah, I mean they're great. You know, like I love using them. And if you look at like Scorsese and De Niro or Scorsese and DiCaprio or like
Mike Flanagan does that a lot.
I mean, lots of directors use the same actors because they know who they're dealing with. Right. So it becomes difficult when you're making a movie and you want to use, you either write a part for someone or you're like, reading a script and you're going to end up directing it or producing it. And you're like, oh, this person would be great for that. And then you like hit them. They're like, oh, I'm SAG. And if you're doing a non-union, non-SAG set, it's kind of like, oh, fuck.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's the tough side of it. It is like, it is what it is. I'm in it now. I get both sides of it.
Sure.
Well, it depends what you want to do. Like some people you can get in if you do a principal role in whatever. I think it's got to be a low budget, which is $800,000 or above.
Yeah.
To get the eligibility, or you can get it if you do 3 SAG background days. You get these vouchers, which if you're going to do a lot of background performing, fine, because you'll get more money when you're SAG.
Right.
But some people I think join that way and haven't necessarily had a lot of on-camera acting experience yet, and then they want to start auditioning for that stuff. It's tough. You're in a different pool now. It might be better to wait. It's like that's my point. It's like really personal. Like if you're just going to do background performing, sure, get more money, get the protections, contribute to the pension, all that stuff. So for me, I had got a couple things. I felt like I'd be competitive on that level, and so I joined.
That's good. That's good. So
proud SAG-AFTRA member.
Yeah, always, of course. Picketing and oh yeah, here we go. Stand with your sign. What's it called? I was going to tell you. I recently, because I wanted to watch School of Rock, which is one of my all-time favorite movies. Jack Black.
Yeah.
And it wasn't on anything except Paramount Plus. And I am a big advocate of HBO Max. And so in my family, we all pay for different subscriptions. So my brother pays for Netflix. I pay for HBO Max. I had Hulu, and then I got rid of Hulu, whatever. But I wanted to watch it, and I started a free trial and then let the free trial lapse. And so now I have Paramount Plus, and I've been watching everything on Paramount Plus. And then I saw that you had something coming out on Paramount Plus.
Yes. I actually just got it too with the Black Friday deal, which was like $199 a month. No, because it's the same thing as you. It's like how many of these things you're gonna have. I get it.
Right.
Yes.
Well, when everything's $15, okay, right. Like it gets a little up there pretty quick.
Yeah, I mean, full disclosure, I always have Netflix, and then I rotate between the others. Usually, it's like when a friend has a part in a show. And it's probably just one scene, but I'm like, I want to watch it, support it, and I'll get it for like a month and cancel.
I could go off on that. People who don't support, like, you know what I mean? Like, if you're in the film industry and you're not watching other indie films or other people's stuff and like supporting your, like, it's just crazy,
dude. And I'll get back to the other thing in a second. But when you mentioned watching Northern Shade, about 10 or 15 of my friends watched that feature film, and it meant so much. I'm like, I'm only in it for a little bit, but it's a great indie, and I was like, that's awesome to me. That's a cool community of people that support each other like that.
I got into filmmaking, and I want to go back to this in a second, but I got into filmmaking because I like movies. So like if you ever, like if someone just hit me up, whether you're in it or not, if you texted me on a random, Wednesday, whatever, and you were like, hey, have you seen this movie? And I'm like, no, what's it on? It's because I want to watch it.
Yeah.
Like if you like something, if like movies inspire me. You know what I mean? To make more movies, and like a good performance, or like I've literally had DPs hit me up and be like, have you seen this one shot in this one movie? And I'll go watch the whole movie just to see the one shot that they're talking about, because it's like, why wouldn't you? You know?
That's how you learn. And especially that in Northern Shade, I won't go into the money, but Chris is an editor in Hollywood and like put his life savings into making his story. And I think that's awesome. And it's like, look what he did. He used his filmmaker friend. I think he does a lot of documentaries that shot it. On a red, and used friendships and people and connections he knew to make this thing that I think looks like a lot more was spent on it than probably it was, and that's something to learn. I'm always interested in that side of it.
Northern Shade's on Tubi though.
It's on Tubi right now, but it's free with ads on Tubi, but you can rent it on the other ones for like $3.
I wasn't shitting on Tubi. I was just saying that I wanted to talk about your Paramount Plus series.
Oh, right, yes.
Is it a series or a film?
It's a film.
What's it called?
Finest Kind.
Finest Kind.
One word.
Paramount Plus. Check it out.
December 15th.
Oh, shit. Okay. Check it out on December 15th.
Yes, it is from writer-director Brian Huggeland, who won the Oscar for Best Adapted Screenplay. L.A. Confidential. He wrote Mystic River. He's done a lot of adapted screenplays. Wrote and directed A Knight's Tale, 42, bunch of stuff. He's from New England originally. This was like the first screenplay he wrote out of grad school, coincidentally at Loyola Marymount, where I went.
No way.
And we even kind of look alike. It's funny.
And his name's Brian.
Yeah. It was mentioned on the set when I was there. But so it's sort of a throwback story. It's basically about these fishermen in New England that it's like a slice of life fishing New England story, some romance, some family drama, some stuff happens, and then there is a crime thriller element. So it's got a lot of different genres mixed in. I would be on the crime thriller side of it. I play a Southie drug dealer.
You don't say.
Yeah. My two biggest roles, the character breakdown is a typical pissed off Bostonian and
Cop.
a typical South Boston thug. Those are the actual breakdowns.
Mm-hmm.
So anyways, I play Paul. I'm a member of this dangerous Boston crime syndicate. We're in a few scenes in the third act of the film.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So
that's good.
I'm excited. Ben Foster, Jen Ortega.
Nice.
Tommy Lee Jones, who I got to work with.
That's really cool.
He was.
So that's the other thing that I want to talk about. I just feel like, I don't know, I really like your story in a sense. Like because I feel like a lot of people are like either too nervous or they just don't, they think, oh yeah, like I could do this or that or whatever. I just don't even know where to get started or anything like that. But when you do, and when you're committed, and when you like actually like jump in with both feet, like you can really kind of skyrocket. Like your career's, let's be honest here, like knock on wood, but your career's like fucking booming right now.
It was a good year. I guess after the strike, it's so weird with actors. We're so, when there's not work for a few months, we're like, do I suck or something? It's like there was a strike.
Right, well, sure.
The opportunity. But thank you for saying that. When you said jump in with both feet, that's to me a requirement. I'm not judging anyone else's decision making, but if this is just
But you suck if you don't do exactly what he says. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
The thing is, like, if you're someone that's like, I want to work my normal career and do indie films once in a while on the weekend, yeah, fine. Who am I to stop? It's like people judging comedians. I'm like, well, maybe they don't want to be Dave Chappelle or Bill Burr. Maybe they just want to tell some jokes on the weekends, and
right.
What I mean?
Sure.
But as far as like, if you're going to be competitive on the highest level, I just felt like I need to be in class as much as possible. I need to be on sets as much as possible. I need to take ego out of this. You're not always going to get paid a lot. You're not always going to get paid. You need to learn and really, because I'm not some young, hot Hollywood kids. You know what I mean? There's no
Disney Channel.
Yeah, whatever. I mean, not trying to put myself down, but you know what I mean? Some with all those advantages. So, yeah, you got to work hard at this. And I have a coach I see regularly. His name's James Dumont. He's an actor. He's on The Righteous Gemstones and a bunch of other stuff.
Mm-hmm. Righteous Gemstones is one of the best series out there.
Yeah, I love Danny McBride stuff. He just always makes, John Goodman's amazing too. And so there was an investment there, financial one, to pay for classes and stuff, and also leaving the career and the time. And so I'm grateful for some of the successes that I've had, but like it didn't come without the commitment. Jumping with both feet, Yeah,
no, 100%. I don't think there's anything, though, like if you want to be a brain surgeon, you can't half-ass brain surgery.
Acting is the only thing people feel like that sometimes they look at it differently.
That's not true. I mean, I don't disagree with you, but it's definitely not the only thing. I think I think it's creative outlets in general are looked at as hobbies. They're looked at as like for fun on the side. They shouldn't impact your income. And I feel like American culture in general is grow up, go to school, go to college, get a job, and realistically, all that school does is like teach you how to be a good employee. You know what I mean?
100%.
So like there's a boss and then there's 25 employees and it's like, that's your life. And then you go to college and you learn more advanced things, but it's still the same idea. The base level is how to be a follower. You know?
But my first job, it felt everyone was in their early to mid 20s. It wasn't much different from college, and it was so much easier. And I was like, why did we get the $200,000? I mean, I had scholarship money, but it was worth $200,000, the education. I had no idea what it is now, but yeah, no, I totally agree with that. And also, something I'm trying to prevent myself from doing as much is like you go on Instagram, and I'm like, how do I feel after I go on Instagram, comparing myself to everybody? And for me, a lot of times it's not other actors, it's other people my age with maybe it's they have a family or they bought a house or whatever, just the regular stuff, but stuff I might not have. And then finally, I was able to step outside for a second. Like, if you looked at my profile, you'd think my life was amazing. Like, I'm just always on movie sets and stuff, and that's not the real thing.
Oh,
so
sure. So I have I have 2 Instagram profiles. One is my personal Instagram that I have not posted anything on since probably 2018.
I was gonna say, I think I only have this one.
And well, this is my point. So I don't even give it out anymore. I just have it because I've had it since I was in high school.
Yeah.
And then I have my business Instagram, right, that I post on frequently-ish. Not every day, but I post on, when I have a guest on, clips come out and everything else.
Yeah.
And if I'm on a movie set, I'll post. But like, it's interesting that you say that. I've found myself comparing my life to other people's lives when I was using my personal Instagram.
Right.
So it was like people that I knew, and you're going to take, I don't know, 7,000 photos or something and post the best one, right? And then that's your whole life is like this best photo that you posted.
Yeah.
And so I can totally understand, and I agree that like people look at Instagram and they're like, oh my god, like their lives are so perfect. Mine, I'm depressed. I have nothing. You know what I mean?
Well, and I guess that's as far as like doing what you love, because I've had some of those people I'm jealous of, like those peers that I grew up with, went to college with, whatever, say to me like, killing it lately, killing it, like almost like in a financial way too. And I'm like, well,
they have no idea, and they see you on a film set and they think you're Leo DiCaprio. You know what I mean?
And I have no idea what goes on after this picture of the happy family. I hope it's great. I'm not, but it's, so then it was like, okay, if everything like that is bullshit, let's just do what we love and we feel passionate about and what we're good at. Like,
well, 100%. So this is what I was going to say.
I talk to myself like I'm a group, what we're good at.
Right. Yes, exactly. It's you and the one inside you. Yeah. But all the voices inside.
The voices, okay.
Right. No, but like when I switched over and I started using the business Instagram, full time. I just use it to like get inspired. Like everybody else's success inspires me to continue like being successful, if that makes sense. So like I follow so many artists, dude. Like I think it's called art_daily dose, and they like will go and find these artists on Instagram. I saw a guy who was painting a canvas that was probably like 5 feet by 9 feet with a syringe. And every leaf he was doing with like a little like glob with a syringe on a tree. I mean, there's nothing cooler than seeing someone do something really well.
Artists, like graffiti artists and stuff too.
It's amazing, and it's not even just art; it's like all forms of art. You see somebody who like plays the violin really well, or you say like someone. I follow obviously a ton of filmmakers. I see editors, and I see like their timeline, and there's just so much cool stuff. And I'm so much less like jealous. It's more of like, that's so fucking cool. I want to do that too.
Yeah, and exactly. And you start, it's not even like, obviously people are at different levels in their careers and stuff, but in the beginning I felt very competitive. Take Kyle, you just had in here. If I saw Kyle at an audition, it was like, I got to beat Kyle. This specific thing, but I got to figure out some way to beat Kyle, and oh wait, there's another redhead over here. This person's in my class. They suck. I'm not worried about them.
Right. And
these are all nice people I like, but in my head I'm playing this game, and it's like, just go offer your art, your take on the role, and stop. This isn't a race or a fight, so stop being so obsessed. And if Kyle gets the part, there's something that Kyle and I went for that he got. It was like a commercial.
You and Kyle went for the same part? Oh,
yeah. Okay, it was like a sport. It was like a Boston thing. I can't remember what it was.
Yeah. Oh, so it was a sports commercial? Because he did a sports commercial.
Yeah, for like a bank or something. He was in it, and he's like wearing red
on the couch or whatever, and he's like,
It's like the same thing we always do with these. Like people are obsessed with this accent stuff.
Yeah.
And I remember I found out he got it on one of those sets we did, and he said, I was like, you got it. And he just goes, okay, man, you'll grab the next one. And even him saying that changed my opinion on it for a while, because he's been doing it a little bit longer than me.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, and then that kind of did happen. So it's like,
Kyle's really cool. He has such an interesting take on life, because he's been through a lot of shit, and he's been sober 10 years, and like, I don't know, he just has a very positive mindset. And I mean, at times, and I mean this with all sincerity, like he's so positive that you want to slap him sometimes. You know what I mean? Like, and I mean this in the nicest way.
He smiles a lot, dude. Yeah.
But he's very happy, and you're like, how can you be so happy? You know? But then you realize, like, fuck, like I want to live like that. Like,
he's
that's
grateful.
nice.
He has gratitude, I think, and he. It's funny because I heard this bit of you guys talking about it, but on Four of a Kind. Is it okay to mention?
Of course.
Okay.
Yeah, mention
it. It was a pilot we did for the folks back home. It was a pilot we did together.
Yeah, long time ago.
And Kyle, I really did. He wasn't. I was like, I kind of thought you were a douche when I met you.
Yeah, he was saying this. Yeah,
because it wasn't just the character. He had this football, and he was using it as like some sort of like to get him into like the frat bro thing. He's like pounding the football, like walking around the table, like saying lines, and I was just like,
he was good. He was in it.
And then it kind of made me fall more into Dustin. Like,
yeah, 100%.
Okay, he's one of those kind of guys, and then you start
like, oh fuck, man, and which is exactly what I wanted, and it was perfect. I mean, that was like. I'm very happy with the casting for that. I mean, the chemistry with everybody involved was fantastic. Sarah Oshman is one of the most talented actresses I've ever worked with. She's amazing.
She was great. And we had another scene I liked with her. We were like kind of in an alley.
Yeah, when we were walking downtown. Yeah,
which I think is very funny. But that thing with Kyle. I haven't updated my reel in a while, but it was in there forever. I think it still is, where he's like got his arm around me.
Yep, yeah.
We had to put him on an apple box to.
He is a little bit shorter. Do you find like that's an issue for you because you're tall?
It's close to being an issue.
Tom Cruise is like 4'11". So like, what's your deal?
I'm 6'1".
Yeah.
So there are other actors in that height, but most of the time I'm one of the taller people. And when you're seeing people get put on the apple boxes more often than not, you're like, oh, I'm kind of glad I'm not any taller, because framing it is it can be difficult at times when there's a big difference in height. On Finest Kind, I don't think he's giving anything away. Toby Wallace and he's one of the main characters, and Jenna Ortega are like dating in it, and she's like 5'2", and he's like 6'2". So like it was, I could see them working, and I'm like, oh yeah, that is, because as a kid you just want to be as tall as possible.
Yeah.
So it's not an issue, but I definitely wouldn't want to be any taller.
Right. Well, it's interesting. Another actor friend of mine, Andrew Gilligan, who I have on frequently.
Yeah, these names. I've seen something with him on your.
Yeah, sure. So he's very tall. He's tall and lanky, but he was just in the Holdovers, that movie with Paul Giamatti.
Heard it's amazing.
They're like clones of him. Like it's Paul Giamatti's like the dean or something of a boarding school, like a boys' school, and they all look like this kid Andrew. All the kids look like him. They're all tall, lanky, with the
lead is kind of like that, right? The lead kid,
they all look exactly like that, you know? And I'm like, okay, well, there you go. You know, if you're cast for that type of role.
That was an interesting one. It takes place in the 70s too. So, because I read for it, and I keep my hair. You told me this. Stop cutting your hair so short.
Yeah.
3 years ago.
Well, I told you because you were telling me that you didn't want to be cast as cops or thugs anymore. And I'm like, so get rid of the gangster haircut, you know?
That's happened. Well, it used to be ridiculous. I had like a high bald fade.
Yeah.
You were like, you got the part, it's great, but not. I forget how you said it. It was really funny though.
Yeah, don't cut the hair. Don't cut the hair anymore. Let's just leave it longer. You know?
I had it longer last spring, and I actually played an ICE agent, cops, of all levels of law enforcement, and it was longer and it worked fine. Like even the idea that it needs to be short to play a cop is kind of not necessarily true either.
Right.
So
no, it's good though. Yeah, no, it's funny the different, like being typecast or whatever else. What have you not done what's like a type of role that you haven't done that you would like love to do, like jump in and do it?
More, I guess you call it like kind of white collar stuff, like executives, lawyer types. I'm never get any of that stuff. Stockbroker, anything like it's blue collar type things like these Bostonians and the cops, and I mean it's so much of that of the auditions I get, or like just some version of myself if it's like an indie thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I would like to try my hand at something doctor. I don't know, anything like that. Especially when the bigger stuff comes around here, the auditions, you see what your type is based on what castings kind of send you or what they see you as. And it is a lot of law enforcement or like just anything that needs a Boston accent, I guess.
Right. Well, tall buildings in Boston are all businesses, and there's people who work in those. You know what I
Exactly,
mean? So
yeah.
there's got to be something.
So, but I just love trying anything acting wise. There isn't really one specific thing. I just want to keep doing it as long as I can. Like whatever
Sure.
you get a chance to do. I mean, we did yours for Dustin. It wasn't entirely like me, but there was a lot. I go, oh, this will be fun. This is cool to step into this world, and I can find some things where I actually relate to Dustin in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And, I think I mentioned that even in The Office, I was like, I definitely wasn't in real life.
Can we just say, not to toot my own horn here at all, but like
Yeah.
the difference when you met me, I was in that little 200 square foot little office. Remember way back in
yeah, it was,
and like now it's like a 2,600 square foot studio.
yeah, it is a lot bigger.
Yeah, it's
And
it's been a blessing, but it's also been a little bit of a curse. Like it's definitely been difficult to maintain. You know?
yeah, but you inspire me because you had the story of. I remembered you had another career before, and you're like, I'm putting it into this. I'm going to make films. I want to.
Yeah.
And you're doing it, and I think that's awesome. The more people we have that do that stuff, the more the industry here will grow. You know.
I don't know. I went through like some mental crap when I was in the car business that was not healthy, and like I was just there too much. I just lived there too much, and I've always wanted to do this, and then I went through like a horrendous breakup, and it like you go through these things in life where it's almost like a reset button.
Yep.
And if you learn how to view like things are happening for me as opposed to things are happening to me, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like if you, I don't care if you believe in God or the universe or fate or whatever, it doesn't none of that matters. But when things happen in your life, you always have an option. It doesn't matter what it is. Mm-hmm. So like when I'm trying to think of the right way to say it. It's like being set. You're good. Keep it out. Keep it out. Dude, mine never leaves my hand.
I was out of frame digging down here, and then you go, keep it out.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. Enjoy it, folks. Well, can we zoom in on that?
No, keep going because you were saying some. I like what you were saying.
Yeah, I think that when tragedy strikes, whatever that is, a tragic event happens, what you do from that point on can be incredibly freeing and can totally turn your life around. And I guess I know, like I was good at selling cars. I'm a people person. I talk to people, whatever. Yeah. I feel like there's a part of me, like I would never go back. But there's a part of me that knows that worst case scenario, I can go to any state in the union and I can like sell cars.
Right.
Like, I'm not worried about it at all. You know what I mean?
And I think that's great too. And it's also very true. Like this idea that, I left it behind me. But any kind of suffering or test, like life shouldn't be all happy without any kind of pain or suffering. I mean, we really wouldn't learn from anything. And I don't know. I think those tests now I'm grateful for. I mean, I've been through some stuff too, and
sure.
And it's you learn about yourself more than anything, and relationships and people, and who's important, who's not, and like what really drives you.
It's The Incredibles. I don't know if you understand the reference or not, but Syndrome from The Incredibles. Once everyone's super, nobody will be.
Exactly.
And so it's like if everyone's happy all the time, constantly, then no one's really happy because it doesn't.
Right.
You only have good if there's evil.
Yeah.
You only have black if there's white. You only have like up if there's down. So like you can't, and then if one of them doesn't exist, then none of them exist.
Exactly.
Because you can't be opposites of nothing.
And that's like the thing with like, I had partying problems and stuff when I was younger, drinking too much, all that. And
sure.
that's really what that is. It's I want to be up all the time, and then that doesn't exist, and then you're just trying to maintain yourself or numb yourself after that, I guess.
Sure.
It's that same idea. It's like, you need to feel life. And I think that a lot of that stuff too contributes to your artistry and like ability to write and act and stuff. I think no matter what, I'm a better actor now 5 years in than I would have been age 15 to 25 years in, if that makes sense.
No, it does make sense. Absolutely. No, I think it's a good point. I feel like for me personally, like I'm such a like a workaholic and it doesn't matter like what the job is. I tend to become like incredibly obsessed with whatever I'm doing.
I think it's good.
And it's good, but it can also take away a lot from like it can take away like a lot from your personal life if you're constantly working, you know?
Yeah.
And when I'm like sitting in this chair for 12 hours a day and I don't talk to anybody else for, weeks on end, it can get like monotonous. And then you start to think in your head that like no one likes you. It's like, no, dude, you disappeared from everybody else's life. So you like have to work your way back in. You know what I mean?
Dude.
It's deep as fuck. I know.
It's like hitting me personally.
No, but it's true. And like you have to like you can't expect everyone else to like care as much, about your stuff as you do. And like but you have to find a balance. Like, okay, so that
finding a balance is hard in this.
Oh,
yeah.
100%. But I make it a point now. So like I have learned to like make it a point. I do deserve to go out with my friends, go to the bar and have a drink or relax and like chill. I don't have to like the edit can wait 3 more hours. You know what I mean? Like, and that doesn't mean with regard to clients and stuff, if you're down to the wire, I try and be earlier if not on time every time. You know what I mean?
Right, but this idea that if I'm not working 20 hours a day, someone else is and they're going to pass me and whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
But okay, so like as an example, so that ashtray, I just got it, the Perdomo ashtray. So Nick Perdomo owns the tobacco fields in I think like Nicaragua or whatever, and he's very, very big. It's a very big cigar brand. And him and his son Nicholas were just in New Hampshire doing this 30th anniversary cigar thing or whatever. My dad hit me up out of nowhere and was like, I like cigars, you like cigars. Do you want to go to this 30th anniversary thing? We get to meet the people and whatever else. 2 years ago, I would have been like, I got to work. I got shit I got to do. I'm sorry. It was like the best 3 hours of my life.
Yes, go.
I went, I sat, we had this amazing cigar, 30th anniversary. It was a cool like father-son bonding moment. And like we split a box of cigars, you know what I mean? I got the ashtray. Like there's like so much cool stuff. And that to me is like a core memory that I will now have with me and my father for the rest of my life. And it was one afternoon that I could have totally just been like, I got to work. I got shit I got to do. It's so important. It's so much more important. And as I get older, I'm realizing how important the little things like that are.
Absolutely.
You know?
I mean, that's because on the same thing I was saying about all the pain, like if there's nothing else in your life, there's no happiness, you're going to be like a miserable, tortured artist that lives and just complains and all that, you know what I mean? And I'm starting to see some of that stuff you're saying as well. I can't afford to go on like all the vacations I'd like, but if there's an opportunity, like this summer, for example, my coach was teaching, he was doing a workshop in New York City. Mm-hmm. And my friend Kaylin, I told her I'd figure out a way to bring her up. She's like, bring me up on the podcast. I was like, I'll find a way.
There you go.
She's like, you going to this? And I'm like, well, I live in Boston, obviously. But I'm like, so I was like, yeah, I'll take the train in. I'll spend a night in. He was happening like in Times Square area. I don't know New York that well.
Right.
But I've never really been, as weird as that is. Like,
you never been to New York?
I had went as a kid with like chaperones for our cross country teams.
I've been one time, so I'm not like some big New York guy, but
yeah. So it was like, and my coach was coming to Boston like the next month, but I'm like, yeah, let's go, let's make a thing out of this. Went to the class, and then we're wandering around Times Square at 2 a.m. like having fun, and it's kind of like even something silly like that is like, well, you got some life out of that, and you weren't just standing in front of a script or your computer or. I mean, what are we even doing half the time? Checking our emails as actors. Sometimes I wonder, maybe my time could be spent better just being around people a little bit more than 100%. Obsessing about this thing or the other thing.
Well, when's the strike ending? I think any sort of artistic craft requires you to like okay. So I started again. I started as an editor. So it this whole industry for me revolved around a room with a computer. Yeah. You know what I mean? But even with that, you can't. I'm trying to think. You can't be inspired unless you just leave the dark room for a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's so much you have to go out and communicate with people and just see the world, if that makes sense.
I always think about I go fall in love and get your heart broken, both. both ends of
You
that
have-
spectrum.
you have to.
in whatever it is. Just using that as an example.
Not shitting on indie people, but can you tell, or can you or can you not tell when someone hasn't gone through shit, but they write a movie, or you're watching a movie and you can tell, like, oh, you don't even know anybody who does heroin.
Yeah.
Like, you've never experienced
I'm
loss.
glad you brought up that example, because it's a lot of friends. I've lost a lot of friends. I think we've talked about this
Oh
before.
yeah, I've
And
been to 7 funerals because of a heroin
It's
overdose. It's very scary. It's not a fun thing.
no, and I mean, just kind of recently, I have a friend of mine was in a coma in the hospital for months. He's still there, I think, and so when I see someone doing a thing, and I'm like, is it just because it seems like a sexy, edgy topic to you, or? And I'm not saying like, I'm so sensitive that I can't handle it or anything like that.
It's not about
But
handling it.
Do it justice.
Right.
Do
exactly.
the story justice. I was just watching last night on Paramount Plus the show Waco. I don't know if you've seen it.
I saw Waco show on Netflix recently.
That's the more of the documentary one, I think, right?
No, there's an acted out one. Hold on.
It could have been. It had Taylor. What's his name? He was in Lone Survivor. I should know how to say. I'm bad at pronouncing names. But as you're looking for it, what I'll say is, like, some people are saying, oh, did they make that guy too sympathetic? I'm like, no, they're doing the story justice of what this guy was. It's not all bad and good, and there's gray area in life, and you put effort into your research on the subject.
Yes. Sorry. Yes. Yes. Sorry.
You're Googling. I just don't want the awkward pause. The folks back home will think that I'm bombing.
Yeah. Taylor Kitsch. This was on Netflix.
Yes.
This
Okay,
was
yeah.
on Netflix. They must have taken it back for Paramount. Paramount must have made it, and so they took it back for Paramount Plus.
Yeah, but the version I had, there were ads like every 20 minutes. It was pissing me off. I mean, Paramount Plus is great, fantastic. Love Paramount Plus.
I don't mind it.
No, they have the great.
I think it's weird when they interrupt movies with ads. I wouldn't mind an ad in the beginning, ad in the end, but
Yeah, they don't do it with the movies I've watched so far. And I have the
Northern
cheap one.
Shade has ads throughout the whole thing.
Oh, that's Tubi.
Oh, Tubi. Yeah, Tubi.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Tubi's good.
Tubi. Yeah, Tubi. I'm not a fan of that style.
Yeah.
Hulu used to do the same type of deal too. I'm not a fan of that. That's why I got rid of it. But
Right.
Tubi's at least free.
And
Hulu,
People like joke about Tubi, and I'm like, it's a place too that does, pick up independent films through independent indie
there's
distributors.
so
and
many independent films.
great things. I saw Super Dark Times on. Have you seen that movie?
No, is it good?
It's kind of like Mean Creek, but they're a little bit older.
Okay.
But anyways, yeah, Tubi's. Where do we go? Oh, Waco. I'm getting distracted by this. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No. I didn't mean it like that. I do some Taylor. How do you say his last
Taylor
name?
Kitsch.
He is incredible.
Yeah, he's really, really good. What else was he in?
He was in Lone Survivor. He was recently in Painkiller, that Peter Berg show. About,
Yes. Have you seen that?
yeah, and
Dude.
his range. I'm like,
Talk about having doing something justice. Painkiller. When you're talking about like heroin and stuff, I know it's oxy, but still.
no, yeah.
That was very well done. And Inspector Gadget as the old guy who.
Oh, Broderick, yeah.
Yeah, Matthew Broderick.
I thought, and a lot of people.
Ferris Bueller, whatever you want to call him.
Yeah, because people were like comparing it to Dope Sick, and I'm like, it's kind of two different things. I really liked what I love all Peter Berg stuff. I mean, he worked with him on Lone Survivor too.
Mm-hmm. He was great in that. Lone Survivor is a great movie.
Oh my God, that's what because I got to work with Ben Foster on Finest Kind, and I was just he has one of the best moments of that movie where he's like, "Tell her I die with my brothers with a full fucking heart," and I'm like, every time it makes me cry. And yeah, I mean that Emil Hirsch is in that movie. Great cast. Who's Mark Wahlberg. I left out the Boston guy.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah.
But yeah, I saw he was in Waco, and I'm like, oh, this guy's got range. So
No, it's cool
kudos
stuff.
to him.
Yeah. No, I love it. I think it's funny that we're talking about the doing things justice and all that other stuff. Why do you think it is that like newer or younger independent people want to do such dramatic storylines and everything else?
It's probably has something to do with I mean like sex and drugs and murder are like in some of the best filmmakers' movies, so maybe those things are always on the top of your mind. I'm thinking like I think the Safdie brothers, who a lot of indie filmmakers love, their first movie was sort of a heroin movie, but they were really in it in New York City. And
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, that might be a question I'd want to ask you, I guess, because my thinking is start with something really simple and human. I just did a movie, a short film with my friend Kevin Conley where we're in a diner. It's not a lot of action. I mean, I arrive on a bus, he leaves on the street, but mostly we're just at a table in a diner, and it's a father son. He's a cop. His son. We don't really have a big emotional connection. The mother has passed away, and I loved it.
Yeah. I think that working within your means is a big.
That's what I meant. Yeah.
Big thing to try and do, and I think I stifle myself creatively because I want it. I only mean like I don't go for the Godzilla as the first movie that I ever make because I know that it's not. I try and think long term about the stuff that I make. So it's like, is this going to actually go anywhere? And if it goes somewhere, is it going to be worth it for the general public to consume? You know what I mean? So if that's the case, then don't do the Godzilla thing if you don't have $200 million.
And it's an interesting thing I was thinking too. Think about some of these film festivals and maybe the film does great on the. I'm like, it's still entertainment too. So like, are people going to enjoy this product and stuff? Like, I don't want to just have critics like it. I want people to enjoy it, and hopefully we can make more.
Sure.
When I met you, you were making a pilot for a show, and that's what we did. Is that something like? Is your goal to make films, feature-length films, or would you love to like be a showrunner? Or
Yeah, no, that's understandable. I get it. So realistically, okay. So there's a couple different answers. So it's funny, you're like the first person who's ever asked me that. But there's a couple different answers. So one, on a company level, right? I would love to grow the business to a point where I'm greenlighting projects like an executive, and I'm letting people do stuff, and we're like a Warner Brothers type situation.
Yeah, or like those bigger level indie studios,
like an A24.
Yeah,
like the head of like an A24.
Yeah.
That would be cool for me.
Taylor Sheridan
for a job. I'd be cool with that job. You know what I mean?
Kind of running the thing, yeah.
But on a personal level, for the stuff creatively that I like to make, movies are definitely way more than movies. Maybe a mini series, but like I do get bored with projects. You know what I mean?
Right. I guess because I thought of it with Four of a Kind. I've done. I mean, everyone around you do a pilot. I did one last spring.
Yeah.
With a bunch of local actors, it was great. And I wonder how. As far as beyond that, shows are expensive. 8 episodes, 6, 10, whatever it is.
Sure.
And then, is this going to get picked up? How does it get picked up? It seems like there's so much to go through to make a show.
Yeah, well, I think that was a mistake that I made early on, too. Like, I just went into it making stuff and spending money on stuff. And without thinking about... I feel like a lot of independent filmmakers overlook the... back end of things. So after it's edited, after it's done, you have your final product. What do you do with it? When you're talking about film festivals, and I mean, I know this is all like not acting related, I apologize, but like all of the stuff that is like film festivals, sure, some of them are $20, some of them are $50, some of them are free, some of them are $5, but like you want to submit, especially as a first time or early on in your career, you want to submit to as many as you can.
Yeah.
You could spend at the snap of a finger. You could spend $5,000 on festivals. I've done it.
I know people that have too.
And
or you can hire someone to tell you what festivals are good for it, which also costs money to do.
Well, exactly. Yeah. So it's like it's a never ending cycle of spending.
Yeah.
And people don't realize that, and they put all this budget into. I mean, it just kills me. I love a good rap party, but like they put all this budget into like a rap party or a good crafty or whatever else it is. And I don't eat on set. I don't go to the bathroom. I don't do anything. I'm there working for 12 hours. I don't sleep during a shoot. Like it's very intense.
He's an AI digital replica.
I am. I'm not even really here.
No, I've never been to a rap party. I've only been on like 3 or 4 that had them. And I've always had some other acting conflict. And I'm kind of grateful for it because I'm just like, I don't know, too. I don't want to... The rap party. I feel like I'll make an ass of myself. It can only get worse from here. The project went great. We worked great together.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I guess I get what you're saying, too, as the person making it. Like, should we be spending this money on post?
Well, if you look at a movie like Oppenheimer as an example, right?
Yeah. Did you like it?
I loved it.
Me too.
I thought it was really great. And I just saw it, and they just released recently, probably within the last couple of weeks, a hour and a half documentary about the making of Oppenheimer.
Oh, nice.
And they dig into everything was done in camera. Everything. So, like, you know the scene where he's at the podium, right?
Yep.
And he's and the background is glitching while he's talking.
That wasn't some...
That was in camera. You're going to shit. Are you ready for this? Because this is the kind of stuff that keeps me up at night, that says I want to make movies and I want to use that technique and I want to do this again. They took a picture of the set empty, and then they projected the set. They projected the pictures of the set onto the set with a projector and lined it up perfectly. And then they would slap the projector and it would shake the image.
Wow.
How freaking cool is something? Because I'm watching the movie, and the first thing I thought when I watched that scene was, how'd they do that?
Well, and that's why I think even like on action movies, like why, like the sinking in Titanic looks more realistic than a movie made today because they bought a boat, half of a boat, and sunk it. Like they put the effort into it. Or
they built a replica of the fucking ship.
Or blowing up miniatures like they did in some other stuff. Now everything's so digital, but that is so interesting. The sound design at Oppenheimer, if you see it in like a theater in IMAX, I did.
Oh, with Jordan's, with the butt kickers? Yeah, those are great.
Jordan's kid.
Yeah, dude. Elliot was on screen. He goes, we got the butt kickers. I'm like, all right, kick my butt, dude. Let's go. Let's go. It was amazing. I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, it's like what I love about Christopher Nolan is kind of some of the same things I like about like David Fincher's shows. I mean, it's different as far as the scale of what they do, but it's just attention to detail, and it's noticeable.
Have you seen The Killer?
I did.
What'd you think?
I really liked it.
Yeah.
It seemed like it got good reviews, but some people said maybe were they bored by it, or they thought he was...
I think it's interesting. I watched an editing breakdown with the editor of that movie, and like how he composed, I guess, the voiceovers with the shots and how he would receive pieces of it, because they edit like during the filming. You know what I mean?
Noticed, and this might sound weird, and maybe it was just me, and I didn't look this up or anything, but when he's meeting up with the woman, what's the actress's name?
The blonde, platinum blonde woman.
Well known. I don't know why I can't think of it.
The British lady.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's at a restaurant called Waterfront, and the sound of the water seemed like it was raising as he was going in. And I'm like, this has to be intentional. Like, and he like mutes the sound of traffic a lot in the scenes. Like those little details, I'm like, because when I do indies, the biggest thing I notice from the good ones to the ones that don't like
need improvement.
it's the sound, you know. Someone once told me like the eye forgives, but the ear does not. If you're out of focus a bit, the audience will forgive it. But the sound stuff,
sound is super. I think it's all important. I think it's all
of course, yeah. You know, the whole movie out of focus,
right. But you look at like Reservoir Dogs as an example was made for like $8 million, and part of that was getting Steve Buscemi and Harvey Keitel and all those people in it. There's no reason, there's zero reason that I couldn't make exactly shot for shot remake Reservoir Dogs for $8 grand, $10 grand.
Well, he was going to, I think he said he was going to do something like that if he couldn't get the actors.
Yeah.
Or like when he was talking about selling the script, because I'm always like, how did he get all these people in his first big, I think he may have sold another script.
No, Harvey Keitel. He had a friend who knew Harvey Keitel. Harvey read the script and said, I'm on board. And then he got the $8 million funding for it.
But you're right, it doesn't look like super high budget. It almost
really doesn't.
Like the whole thing's in like a warehouse or whatever.
It is.
Pretty much. So yeah, I get what you're saying. You could definitely shoot that.
And of course, hindsight's 20/20. So like everybody would be like, oh yeah, I could make that again. You know what I mean? But it's really what I'm talking about specifically is the budget of everything. Like there's no reason to spend. And that's the other thing that I see too is like, I know my capabilities. And so I don't see the need to like spend $8 million. You know what I mean? I'll take it. If you want to fund my movie, like I'll take the $8 million and imagine. But I say this to Colin and all these people that I work with, like on the crew side of things. I always say like, dude, look how good we made this look. Imagine what we could do with. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's not knocking Reservoir Dogs. I think it's great. I'm not saying that I could do it better even. I think it was very well done. It was a fantastic first film. But at the same time, with the availability of technology and everything today, I think that people put more emphasis on how much money and how good of equipment can I get, and they don't put enough emphasis on how can I improve my craft? How can I improve myself? What do you do to improve your craft?
With acting, okay. Because I was like, full disclosure, I am a filmmaking fan. I don't make my own films yet.
But just with regard to you and your life, you know, that's like put you on the spot like that. But
well, just it came up quickly. from you, so I wasn't prepared.
Well,
So
'cause
like I said,
I tend to ramble. So I was like, how do I get this kid to talk more?
I have a I have a coach who I call my coach. He started as a teacher. His name's James Dumont. I meet with him usually once a week. It's been a couple weeks because of the holidays and stuff. We meet on Zoom. I either do a class with him. When I have auditions, I'll coach with him. And there's all kinds of script analysis and eye lines and ideas that go into that. For instance, right now I'm doing a class at Boston University. Does these classes for their directing students. And through one of the casting agencies here, they hire actors to come in so the students have people to direct who, kind of know what they're doing. So it's, so I do that at least once a year, sometimes once a semester. I'm doing that right now, Monday nights. You're putting the scene on its feet. It's in front of an audience. Maybe at times you have to project a bit, which you don't do as much on film, but you're working out different skills using your voice. So I do that. I do at least one self-tape a week, even if I don't have an audition, just to be ready. Other workshops, and if someone has a part for me, I say yes 99% of the time. Doesn't matter what it is, because I feel like that it's not to, I don't mean it to disrespect the project, like, oh yeah, I'll do your short film because it's good practice. That's, to this person, this is their thing. But I always learn something,
Yeah. Go.
Well, I was going to say, and then when I'll use an example from Finest Kind, and I'm bringing it up for the third time, but it's my only big time credit at this point. So,
What? It's also like the most recent thing that's coming out.
Yeah,
You're promoting
recent.
it. Yeah, talk about it. I don't care. And fuck everybody else if they don't like you bringing it up. I don't give a shit. Go.
Yeah, it's so the first scene we did in that, it was just me. The other gangsters of our crew weren't there because we were going to film the next scene on a soundstage, but there's one scene with me in a hallway. You can see a flash of it in the trailer.
Did you shoot on sound stages?
Well, they kind of had to because actually the sound stages in Massachusetts were full this week because we had so many films. So
you see what I'm saying?
They bought like a warehouse and had to rig it up, but essentially, yeah.
Okay. Same thing.
Because they were building like an apartment and getting all the cameras in, as you know, and an apartment can be a lot of equipment. I think we had Video Village in your bedroom.
Especially when you're trying to make it look like a house.
Yeah. It worked, though.
It did work. It was so good. All right, go ahead.
So, anyways, it was a scene in a stairwell. I don't have to go into what happens, but we were in a stairwell of an apartment building. It's a single camera. And I just had a moment of, this was my first student film at BU. My first scene was in a hallway of an apartment building in Alston. We were in New Bedford. And it was like, oh yeah, I know the actions of this. And it was because I had done it before. So even that's what I mean by doing it. It wasn't like at the time I went to the BU film, like, I'm here to practice my, hitting my mark. But it gave me that little bit of confidence before I had to look at all these actors who I really looked up to and respected. And that's how it gets you out of your head and kind of, I've done this before. I'm a big believer in repetition and practice.
Do you get nervous?
Not acting, not anymore. No, thankfully. I think that's because I feel confident in what I can do now. I think there's a moment where anyone can be nervous in a certain scenario. I'm not going to say I'm never going to get nervous again, but I mean, yeah, like when Tommy Lee Jones walked in, I smiled. I was excited.
Yeah.
It wasn't, and I'm grateful for that. But
was he nice or was he a total prick?
He was, the way I describe him, I would say nice. He's very like the guy you see on screen in a sense where it's like he's the good guy in most of these stories, but he's also a guy you say sir to. You look him in the eye, you respect him. He's big.
Yeah,
like 6 feet tall. He was a football player.
Do you think that has to do with his age too? Like, I feel like you would talk. You're just a very nice person. Like, I feel like you talk very, very respectfully to anybody if they were older.
Yeah. Actually, I guess I could share this story now without giving away too much. We have a moment in the end of the movie.
Well, be careful. I don't want to ruin it because
no. It's not. I won't even say what happens. But so we were in the scene, and he pulled me aside and asked me he wanted to talk to me about the scene, and and he talked to me like an acting peer, not of I am Tommy Lee Jones, Academy Award winner that's done this for 4 years, and you're Brian, who he was very respectful. So I guess in that, so I would say great guy, and seeing him work was one of the coolest things ever. Guys, incredible.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's really, really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never understood. I hope I never am. I'm already a prick, most of the time. So I hope that I'm never like a huge prick if I gain any sort of notoriety. You know what I mean? But most of the time it's all stress related, and it's just because I want to get stuff done. But I value every single person on every set, always.
Yeah, I think that's evident. I mean, people I've heard other people on some of your podcasts joke about that, but I think it's just because you care. I didn't feel like
Well, they joke because I'm also very self-deprecating, you know.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
they joke with me because I'm, hurt by it.
I worked with you. We worked on that thing for like a week. I don't remember any like blow-ups or anything.
Yeah, no. There were a couple.
I remember
sets after
silly
that were.
side things but nothing.
Yeah. No, it wasn't that. Four of a Kind was very, very good set. Very tame. Everybody did their job, which was good.
Did you like? Can I ask about it?
Yeah, you can ask me whatever you want.
Well, I didn't know if you'd be like, if you fucking. Well, because obviously, like I think I only saw the rough cut of it. Did it just wasn't in the end?
Yeah,
like,
it was. I wasn't well rounded enough with what I was doing to like do anything with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's all. But it's a good little rough cut.
Well, yeah, because I was like, I lost the link at one point, and I was just like, to the I think it was like a YouTube link or something.
Yeah, something like that. It's somewhere. I can send it to you again if you want it.
Evan asked me about it once.
Yeah.
I was like, how the hell do I know?
Yeah.
You said something before about doing a lot. Oh, I did another film last spring called The Compatriots.
Okay.
But the one I was talking about was The Ice Agent. And that was a moderate budget movie. So it means you have somewhere between 250 and 750,000 or something. It's like $500,000. So compared to big Hollywood movies, you're talking about the 16 million and everything.
Mm-hmm.
It had all the look and feel and camera and lights and everything of a normal set. And they're using up and coming actors. I think the leads were out of LA, but they weren't names necessarily. And a guy from here, Rafael Silva, who's great.
Yeah.
But it was on that same thing of like, oh yeah, like where does the 30 million go normally? You start to think, and I think a lot of time it goes to talent.
Probably.
Yeah.
I think there's something really cool, and I'm probably it's probably not as common of a thing. I don't know. This is probably a unique or a hot take on films in general, but I like movies because they're movies. Like, don't get me wrong, I will go see a Martin Scorsese film because Martin Scorsese did it.
Yeah.
Same with like Leo DiCaprio, which ironic. Have you seen Killers of the Flower Moon?
I have not yet.
Oh
No.
my god, it's so good. It's so good. I was uncomfortable. I was uncomfortable for like 3 days after I watched it. It's very intense. It's very intense.
Yeah.
It's also a fantastic film, and it's a whole day event. Like you can't watch that film and have anything else planned that day because it's almost 4 hours long. So,
yeah.
But make it an event. Like make it a thing, and we're gonna watch. You know what I mean? And then go watch it. It's very, very good. But regardless, I don't just go for movies that people that I that I like, famous people are in.
Yeah.
I genuinely enjoyed watching Northern Shade and a whole bunch of other things where I don't know anybody in the cast, and I'm like, this is a good movie. Like you don't have to be incredibly famous for a movie to be good. You know what I'm saying?
That's one thing I don't get to enough of them, and people give me shit for it. But when I do go to a film festival, even if it's a short film block and it's something local, I always find something where I'm like, oh, that was cool. Yeah, that was a good idea. And so. Yeah, I mean, Northern Shade was made for even less money than that. It was under the ultra low budget level, which I think it looks like more money was put into it than that.
I thought it looked great.
And so, yeah, you can kind of just see what other people do. Yeah, so would you be on like a Tubi, for example, and like watch something, or would you have to have someone recommend it to you? Or you'd be like, oh, I'll check it out.
Nope, absolutely not. I absolutely scroll through. Tubi actually has an independent film section.
And you'll watch.
Yeah, and I will scroll through, and if something looks interesting, so it's the same kind of deal as like if you're watching, going to a movie theater and seeing like famous big budget movies, like what catches your eye, like what seems good. I'll read the little taglines and stuff like that. There's one about it's a higher budget, but I think it was independent film though. I don't know if you've seen it or heard of it. I can't remember the name, but it's about this kid.
It's going to be hard.
No, I know. It's about this kid who has a face that is so attractive that it kills people when they look at him. So
I know what that's like.
He spends his life like wrapped up, and he wears sunglasses, and he looks like a mummy almost.
Oh wow! Because I was thinking of The Mask for a second, that '80s movie.
Yeah, it's '90s. Mask is 1994, buddy.
Was it?
Yeah.
No, not Jim Carrey.
Oh.
No, the one with Eric Stoltz, the kid that got fired from Back to the Future.
Oh,
I think Cher is in it.
Interesting.
It's interesting.
All right. So anyway,
but back to your thing.
But the kid basically he falls in love with this girl who works at an old age home.
Yeah.
And it's a really sweet movie. It's a little tropey in a couple of spots. You know what I mean?
I don't mind that.
I didn't mind it either. I watched it. I was like, you know what? This is like kind of cute. Like, this is a good movie.
Yeah.
You know? And I didn't know anybody who was in it. Not a single person who was in it. I was like, oh, I know that person. And it was like still really like genuinely good.
That's great.
I gotta look it up.
That's another reason why I like those Mike Flanagan shows is I heard that he like would find people on the indie film circuit. He actually saw Northern Shade. They met him in Fargo. Fargo, the place, not the movie.
Right.
And that's the thing. And I'm like, that's great because there's so many amazingly talented people out there, theater actors who are just doing their thing.
It's called Looks That Kill.
Looks That Kill.
Yeah. Go ahead.
It sounds familiar. Like, so what kind of budget did something like that have? Is anyone?
I have no clue. I'll look it up right now. But it's a film that premiered in June of 2020.
Exactly as you described it.
Oh
wait, Brandon Flynn. He was in 13 Reasons Why, right?
Oh, okay. Maybe. Yeah. I don't know.
He's legit.
Well, I mean, you can have a legit person in there, but
You see what I just did? I found the first person that was in a Netflix show and said he's legit and just disregarded everyone else.
well, yeah. I mean,
No, I'm just saying, like, he's not an unknown. He was in a pretty big show, but
it usually the Wikipedia page will say like the budget, but it doesn't. But
so he's the lead.
yeah, and
He dated what's his name? Sam Smith. They were why does Brian know that? Why do I know so much about pop culture?
I don't know why you know that.
I just do. You didn't see 13 Reasons Why?
No, wasn't my thing. I said that I saw, or you mentioned to me that they like removed certain aspects of it.
I heard they removed a scene.
Yeah, and it made it less, and that goes back to like being doing things justice. And
Well, it's a show about suicide, and you cut out the suicide.
right.
Then you're just kind of making all the good parts of her being remembered by everybody and having it where I don't know if I think you need to show the whole thing.
Yeah,
Personally.
yeah.
But you know,
I have a question for you, and this kind of goes with the Four of a Kind. And you've been watching Paramount Plus. What have you gotten into any shows on Paramount Plus?
I just got it a few days ago. The first things I watched were the South Park post-COVID.
See, this is the difference. This is why I say like I'm an obsessive freak, like OCD. So, but not in like a everything has to be a certain way kind of way, but more like I become obsessive with things. So I watched all of The Offer, which is the story of how The Godfather was made.
That's on there?
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
These menus are difficult. I'm like, how do I?
And they're all different.
Yeah.
And then you got to find. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. I really want to see that.
Okay,
one.
so The Offer's on there. Fellow Travelers is one that's on there. It's about being gay in the 1950s and 60s, and then it flashes back and forth about this guy who's Matt Bomer, who is the main character, and it's him in the 80s during the AIDS epidemic versus what it was like to be gay in the 50s when it was like illegal and everything else.
Wow.
But I mean, these shows, they're just incredible. It almost is, it's very aggravating that they have all of these different streaming services because like
You miss stuff.
yeah, like The Offer, it was so good. I mean, it's literally so good. And by the way, I watched like I love The Godfather. I watched like 6 documentaries on how that movie was made. So like I didn't even need to watch The Offer. Like I already knew the story of The Offer, but it was perfectly done. I mean, it was so good. Every attention to detail, it's just amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I stumbled upon the Waco show last night, but I'm glad you mentioned that. Yeah, I'm still kind of learning Paramount. I found it interesting. Yellowstone is not on Paramount Plus. All their spinoffs are.
What is Yellowstone on?
It was
Showtime?
Paramount Channel, and then Peacock owns the streaming rights, and then CBS airs the.
All right, can I bitch about something really quick that's really pissing
bitch about
me off?
the conglomerates and all these companies all you want.
Dude,
this is confusing as shit.
This annoys the shit out of me. What's your favorite Christmas movie? Go, it's fine. Doesn't matter what it is.
Bad Santa.
Okay, it's on Paramount Plus.
Hell yeah.
Okay, just FYI. Bad Santa and Bad Santa 2 are on Paramount Plus. For the last 9 months, right before right now,
Yeah.
The Grinch was on
amazing.
Max, HBO Max, and pretty sure Netflix. And it's not on anything because Peacock owns the rights to it, and they are streaming it on like December 23rd for like a week or something. But other than that, you can't watch it. I'm not getting another streaming service.
Yeah.
cry. I'm going to rent The Grinch for $3.99 on Apple, okay? And I'm going to watch The Grinch one time, and that's it.
They took it off because they knew people would want it. Yeah, I'm like, this is NBC Universal. We have CBS Viacom. I'm like, your thing, it's confusing. I can't even track it anymore. Like during the strike, there was this thing going on with these interim agreements. And I will be critical of this now because the strike is over.
Yeah.
I disagree with that. I'm like, these are not independent studios. They all have deals with major distributors. They're all part of the same thing. You're giving them content. I disagreed with that tactic entirely and still do. Even though, if I had an audition, I would have gone for it. But the idea that that A24 or Lionsgate is an independent studio that
A24 is an independent
but
studio.
it has a deal with Amazon Prime. My point was during the strike of the no work portion. I'm like, this is. So, anyways, I guess my point. I started to see. I'm like, wait, who's this company? And I started to be like, okay, this is confusing as shit. And everyone already has distribution deals. But the crossover between all these companies is confusing too.
I think it's just really the big LA 5, like Warner Brothers, Paramount, all those ones that were there. Those were the ones where people were like, we're not working with you.
Right. But the interesting thing is, like, when you were making all those other ones, the interim films, it was like, you need all those people or nobody's going to see your film. Because they're not going to put an A24 movie on Vimeo or Tubi. Eventually, they were going to use one of those people to distribute it. You know what I mean?
Oh, sure. Well, yeah, but they put A24 on everything now.
Yeah. So but one of them, and I guess my thing was like,
they have such a cool story, man. They're such a cool company. Like, they're such a cool fucking company,
and they make everything. It's not like just horror or anything. It's
well, they're in there. It's their turn right now. You know what I mean? Like, they did really good with Hereditary and with Midsommar.
Yeah,
and
they're also behind Uncut Gems, and
but they weren't original. That's my point. They started with Hereditary.
Oh yeah. Right. No, 100%.
The first movie was like, again, it was like the first one was like 8 mil, and then it was like 50 mil, and then they just, because it's so exponential. Once you produce something really good, the people that fund these films and the companies that fund these films, they're like, if you can make something really good for 8 million, we'll give you 200 million. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like an exponential growth. Look at what's her name? That did Barbie. What's her name?
Margot Robbie.
No, the director.
Oh, Greta Gerwig.
Greta Gerwig. I was going to call her Greta Thunberg. So Greta Gerwig. Greta Gerwig. She did that movie about. Oh my God,
Lady Bird.
Lady Bird. Thank you. She did Lady Bird, and she did a couple. And then
Little Women.
Now after Barbie being a $1 billion success smash hit, there's nothing she won't be able to do.
Oh, yeah.
She has the world at her fingertips. She can do anything she wants and make any movie about any subject.
Especially when it's commercial like that. Like, a lot of people might think, I got a film that's 100% Rotten Tomatoes. Yeah, well, Barbie made $1 billion. That's what they care about.
Right.
They care about their money. And so I agree with you.
I find it very interesting, too, because nothing against Greta Gerwig at all. But do we know her? You know what I mean? Like Scorsese, it makes sense that he doesn't have a budget when he does his movies. He can do whatever he wants. You know what I mean? But, like, just because Barbie made $1 billion, you know what I mean? Does that make Greta Gerwig necessarily the best?
I think, she had
there?
a few. I don't know box office in terms of success, like how Little Women and Lady Bird. There's something else big she did too, though. I can't think of it right now.
But she makes good movie. I'm not saying she doesn't.
They're critically acclaimed and commercial, which means I guess they make money. So I guess after that, they'll buy you a few years. It's
frustrating to me. That's where the artistic and the business side, kind of that crossover, like, is frustrating for me.
Yeah.
Because, like, just because something is a box office smash or critically acclaimed or whatever one time doesn't make a career of artistic genius. You know what I mean?
100%. And I guess until you're in, I guess would all love to be in that position. And it's like here's a funny example. My friend from Northern Shade, Joseph Poliquin, he plays the younger brother in that. He was in Five Nights at Freddy's. That's
a Neon film. Neon's been killing it too. They've been pumping out a whole bunch of horror shit.
So that's a perfect example too of, I haven't seen it yet. I want to, because I'm sure he's great in it. I love him. But he critics, I don't know, hated it, and it dominated the box office 2 weekends in a row and made its money back 5 times, and it's a hit. So if you look at that, you're like, is that a successful director? Or like, what
right.
Where do we set the bar for, are they going to be successful next time? It's a franchise based on this video game. So it's like, there's all these other elements that come into it. I don't know. I guess you got to take chances on people.
Yeah, well, there's some that are like more, corporate based or they're quick cash grabs because they're in right now or whatever, And then there's ones like that's why I love indie films because they're so like pure, like they're so real. They're so like when it's a no-name anybody, including the director or writer, and it's still a good movie, it's usually because it's a true story or like it's based in reality.
Right, and they didn't have anybody fucking up their creative process. They got to make their film.
Right.
It wasn't like, okay, now we're going to go to this studio and they'd take out this and change this and let's cast this and this. And then all of a sudden it's like, it's changing. I think independent film is like truly like, here's my painting. I want to show it to the world.
Yeah.
It's a collective effort still, but it's not being made necessarily to make money or to please this studio. Oh, this will fit in good in our, April block of films.
Right.
With
exactly.
So, yeah, I guess there's two different sides to it that way. I wanted to ask you something right then. I fucking forget what it was. Oh, what do you think about, like, do you normally agree with critics?
Oh, interesting.
There's a reason I'm bringing it up. I'm not going to say the reason, but I'm sick of their hacky reviews where they always need to make a pun on the title.
Okay, that's an interesting take.
No, but in general,
do you have a review in mind? Like, can you give me an example?
Well, I guess
I don't really read reviews.
I
don't fuck everybody. I don't like anybody else's opinion except my own.
Yeah, well, I guess even just bringing up the Five Nights at Freddy's thing, I was thinking like, here's a bunch of critics saying like, oh, don't wait, and then the world loves it, I mean, dude, Michael Bay films have made billions and billions at the box office.
Yeah, I'm not a fan.
But well, I mean, that's just one example. I'm just saying like, it doesn't always match up. But I was just curious what you think as a
I look at
artist.
It. Well, so I think that's interesting. I was just gonna say in the same vein. I don't know if it has necessarily to do with like critics and stuff like that, but like I will never make a Dune. Like that's not. It's just not something that I would make. I love Martin Scorsese and I love the films that he makes, and even some of his are like really big, like Killers of the Flower Moon. I mean, I would be blessed to make a movie of that scale, but I just don't even know. And I think part of it has to do with life experience as well. Like if you look at his earlier work, Mean Streets and Taxi Driver and stuff like that, like they're small and they're within his means at the time. And he was young and he knew New York and he knew gangster people and he knew Vietnam vets, and he knew, like, you know what I mean? Like he adapts a lot from books and then, stuff like that. But they're all stories that are with Goodfellas. They're all within his kind of world of like what he knows. And that resonates with me so much more so than like Dune. I'm just not that. And again, Dune's not a bad film. It's just so grandiose. Like, it's so out of this world. I like to connect with characters and people and, like, know who they are, and, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess, you know what I'm saying? So, like, when you say, like, Michael Bay, they've made billions of dollars. He's obviously successful. It's just not nearly within my repertoire of, like.
He was just on my mind because I watched this movie, Ambulance, this weekend with and it was just insane. They're just driving around L.A. in a car chase the whole time, and I'm like, you couldn't get 100 feet in L.A.
Oh yeah, like this wouldn't.
So, but it's funny, and I get what he's doing, but I guess.
I love like car chase scenes through New York or L.A. It's hilarious.
Yeah. It's. I guess I was thinking like from the filmmaking perspective, like would you? I don't know if you've had people review your stuff. Like, is that something that's on your mind? Like, I hope a lot of people watch this, or I hope people who review things with, I don't know, like I think sometimes we can get in our heads about that, or maybe the industry does in general.
100%. So I'm absolutely in the long game, and part of that is my stubbornness. You know what I mean? Like if I'm famous, it'll be after I'm dead, in my opinion. That's what I'm thinking. But it's only because I care so much more about the product itself as opposed to the impact of the product on other people. Like I write stories or I create stories that it's therapeutic for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like the stuff that I create is either it has to do with something that I'm going through personally, or it's a story that really resonates with me, and I believe in the characters and everything else.
Cathartic, they say, and stuff like that.
Right, but I want to make stuff that's like that I would want to watch. I make movies and cinema for me.
Yeah.
And I just know maybe it's not a $1 billion idea necessarily, but I'm not the cash grab kind of person, which is why we're on the second floor of a warehouse somewhere, as opposed to like owning the whole fucking building and building a podcast set and everything else.
That'd be a big podcast set. Hey, but I love what you're saying, and I think some of that is kind of coming back now. Like I've already used it, but like the Taylor Sheridan example of like, no, I'm gonna make a cowboy show because that's what I want to watch, and it's been very successful. I don't watch it personally. I know a lot of people do. I've seen scenes, and I think like the more people that do that, then you're gonna see they're gonna put that effort into it. They really care about it, and it's gonna connect with people more than just I'm making this because I think people want to see. This is what people want to see. You know?
Well, yeah, that's the thing. Like, what's in right now? What worked last year? What's gonna work this year? Like that shit doesn't bother me.
Remember when there were dancing movies for a while? It was like a thing. Like you'd have like dancing crews battling each other. That was like a genre.
You mean like West Side Story style?
No, I mean, I think that would be much more. I'm talking like Step Up and like Step to Me.
Oh, yeah.
That was a thing for like 5 years. It was just like
100%.
the cool kids in the school were just like doing dance moves and like battle
like,
dancing.
What are we doing here? Yeah.
And I feel bad for those actors that had to do that. But
well, it's a paycheck,
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Have you seen like Bronson?
Bronson. I don't think so.
Tom Hardy's in Bronson, and he plays this. He plays the most like notorious prisoner in British history or whatever, and he like it's a real true story. It's about this guy he's a little different in the head, you know, and he's a little out there, and he's very aggressive, and he I don't remember if he killed somebody or like on accident, but he like something happened where they were gonna put him in jail, and the judge just like said that he didn't pass his mental health, whatever it was. This is like in the 60s.
Oh, so he went to...
And so he just went to a mental health place, and then they let him out again, and he just continued committing crime and like robbed banks, and like they put him in solitary confinement, and he would use the bathroom all over himself on purpose, so that and then he would make a big scene so that when guards would come in, they would have to be covered in his stuff. And I mean, he's naked for half the film, running around like
sounds
beating.
Like a brutal. Well, Tom Hardy's balls to the wall actor,
right? I mean, but the film is unbelievable, and it's an indie like kind of film with Tom Hardy. It's an older film. Another one that I saw with Tom Hardy and with James Gandolfini, it's on HBO Max, is The Drop. And it's like this, I call it a Wednesday film. So it's just like a clip of a moment in time of like these two bar owners that are like, they kind of do some shady stuff.
Yeah.
And there's a murder that takes place, and there's some other stuff that happens, and they owe some money to somebody else. But like, it's a brilliant film to me.
I love films like that where like the stakes aren't super high for the world around you, but for these people, this is their story. Let's go into their lives.
Yes.
I don't need to see you save the world.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. I would have seen it 3 times in theaters. Seriously. I thought it was a great film.
Yeah.
You know?
Tom Hardy. What was I just... I saw Tom Hardy in Legend because it was the same director that did our thing.
Oh, okay.
He plays both characters. I mean, he is such...
Oh, where he plays the twins that are like... Yeah. With Chaz Palminteri's in there. And he's like, they deal with the mafia. They're British guys, British brothers.
Yep.
And he says, we'll find you a nice girl or whatever. And Tom Hardy's like, I like boys. Like,
yep.
Dude,
one of the brothers is gay. Yep.
Yeah. And he's like, oh, okay, this is great. I mean, it's awesome.
It's so good.
Talk about talented actor.
I love Chaz too. Do you watch his stuff on Instagram? He's great.
He's awesome. Yeah, that's what I would love. I would love to have a career where I have one big, successful thing, like he had Bronx Tale, right?
Yeah. But a lot of other great roles too.
Oh, of course. Yeah. Oh, dude, analyze that. Analyze that. Like, I mean,
and
amazing.
Just funny comedic stuff. Like he was in Down to Earth with Chris Rock. He plays like this.
He's hilarious.
Guy in heaven. He's but
hilarious. But I would love to have a career like that where you're just having fun your
Yeah.
whole life. Even if you're doing some serious stuff, like you're enjoying life, and then you're a little older. He's been on some podcasts, and he does some cool stuff, and he's just an old guy now, like it's whatever.
I love his life advice on pod, and like even on writing, he's like, writing is rewriting. Like he'll have these great, because he is a great writer, these great like quotable things that are awesome for social media.
Yeah.
And people share it. Like, and this is what I tell people. I tell people this all the time.
Yeah,
I love it.
So funny. No, I think it's great. I think it's great.
Yeah,
and yeah, I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of good stuff out there. So what are your goals? Like, what do you want to do? You want to be like the next Leo? What do you want to do?
There can only be one Leo.
Of course.
Yeah, no. Realistically, like, yes, I would want to make my living as an actor and get the biggest roles I could. I don't. I want to keep doing it for as long as I can. I would love to. Let me see. How could I put this? I would love to find. I'm working towards it now. I mean, it's just a process. Like, you start off with independent films, and then you get some bigger stuff. You might do a small part, and then you go back to the independent films, and you do a lead, and you try to just build your career. I don't have one specific thing that I'm like aiming for. I just want to. I'm in it until the wheels falls off, till the end. I'm an actor now. It is what it is.
Are you happy?
For the most part, yes. My life is kind of empty outside of that. I'm trying to fill that in at the time. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But you have to learn as you go. My stomach was growling. I don't know if that read on the mic.
It didn't.
I'm glad I mentioned it.
Right.
For the folks.
Yeah. It's a very Brian McDonald moment there.
Yeah. A lot of it's like a learning process. I mean, you obviously learn in acting, but like how to function in this life. And now I'm kind of looking at it like, okay, I need to make a little bit more money on the side and this, and like maybe I am kind of like lonely. And like you were saying, going out with friends and start dating again. Like I'll date for like a couple months, then I'll be like, that was terrible. I'm going back to my work where everything makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, but it's more. I'd say that's more based around fear than it is actually around.
Which is funny or interesting. Not funny, but it's interesting to me that you put it that way, because, like, you're an actor, so you literally can be put in any situation where you're doing some of the stuff that like you as Brian would never do. Mm-hmm. But then in your real life, you get nervous on like dates and stuff like that. Is that not like a weird phenomenon to you?
I've said before, I'd rather be on stage in front of 10,000 people than not rather, but I'm more nervous one-on-one on a first date than I would be in front of 10,000 people.
Do you feel like you have more control on a set or on acting and everything else? Like,
well, there's safety in the character. It's written. What? So I look silly. That's what the character does. It's not. I feel. I don't. It's when I feel the least judged. Strangely enough, and then like a lot of people might see it. I don't know. That part of it's weird, because when people say to me like, "What if it's on TV?" and like you said, like millions of people see this, I'm like, I don't really think about that, but if I'm judged by someone I like one-on-one in a conversation, that's where I think.
Yeah. So I'm very similar to that too. Like I couldn't, if I don't know you or don't, if we're not close or whatever, like your opinion of me means less than zero.
Exactly.
Good or bad. Your opinion of me means less than zero. And I appreciate when it's good and whatever when it's bad, but whatever. If someone, it could be like my sister, anybody who I'm relatively close with, if they are like upset or offended, or if they think I did a bad job, if they're telling me that I did something, I will lose sleep. I can't handle it. I really can't. It means so much more to me because I have a very tight knit circle of people. Yeah,
and you have empathy and you care about them, and I think that's healthy. Yeah, it's funny. Like some guy talks some shit in the comments. It's like, I don't even know if you're a real person.
Right. And I don't care.
Yeah,
I just don't care. It means just less than nothing.
And when you care, I mean, that's sometimes when nerves come in. It's not like if I'm auditioning for something, I don't care, but I just have a better grasp on how it works now, and that you're not going to get every single thing. Something's going to come around. You do this enough, like, so I don't get as nervous, but I do want every role, and I just feel like when I'm auditioning, I have it for that 2 minutes or whatever 100%. It is, and that's what it is. When you care a lot with people, it can be tough, and you don't want to seem over, I don't know,
oversensitive.
It's a tough balance to play. The world makes more sense to me.
Well, when I was growing up, when I was a little kid, I got bullied and I was made fun of for being overweight or whatever else it was. I mean, there's just nothing that can be said to me that I haven't already said to myself at one point or another. And so, if you're the kind of person who is going to leave a negative comment on something or write a crappy review of or whatever it is, like, I know now that I'm almost 30, like I know that I am not, it's not personal. It's, you know what I mean? Like it's like
hurt people,
right.
Something's up
so
with
like
you.
they're going through some crap or whatever it is, and like they'll figure out their shit eventually or not. But it's also not my job to like engage with that. You know what I mean?
Right. I mean, you do get tough, and obviously, I mean, I was a bright redheaded kid with glasses, and I had my fair share of teasing that for a lot of different things, and it hurts you and it makes you tougher and all that. But also, it's interesting too. I was having a thing with a friend recently, and like kind of like we just weren't getting along for a while. I mean, it's been going on for a while. And then I found something out, and I'm like, oh, his situation's like so much more fucked up in life right now than mine, and I literally didn't even consider that could be possible. I was totally consumed with my own feelings of how he was treating me, and so that's the thing that you come to learn too. But there's still no excuse for someone saying like, oh, you're a dumb ginger idiot, you're fat. Like if they're being cruel, then that's not cool.
So it's not that there's any excuse for it, but I will say, like, you know, we live our own lives. We all go through our own stuff. And so we really never know what anyone else is going through. Like before you walked, I mean, I hope this didn't happen, but I'm just saying, like, but right before you walked in here, I have no idea what you were thinking about this morning or what kind of stuff happened yesterday afternoon that could have put you in a certain mood or whatever else. And you don't know anything, you know what I mean, about my personal life or whatever else. So like, I don't know, when someone's upset or like, you know, a little on edge or they're going through something or whatever, and then you take their attitude personally without being like, you good? You know what I mean? Like, is everything okay? Like that's, do you get what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Like you can't, I've definitely learned to like kind of, I'm very good at reading people. Yeah. Very good. And I will absolutely call out a change in their from a deviation from their normal demeanor. Like I've stopped podcasts before and said like, are you good? You want to like take a minute? Do you need a bathroom break? Like, are you good? You know what I mean?
Yeah. You're recognizing something. And I think that's great. And even going back to what we were saying before, that's sometimes I think, I don't know if maybe you'll feel this way or maybe it's just me, but I mean, you're a writer. I know you talk a lot about the technical stuff, but I think of you as artist first. You wrote Four of a Kind. You're a filmmaker. Artistic brain. You were an actor too at one point too,
well, right? And like a regular artist, like with drawing and painting. All
and you
that
sang
other stuff.
too? When you sang?
Okay, long time ago. Moving on. Yes.
Well, I mean, it's a lot of things.
But everything is like it's a creative, all the creative outlets.
Right. Yeah. So when I'm in a relationship or something, I kind of want to have like deep conversation. I like to hear about them and stuff. And maybe I think in the beginning you want to maybe not, I don't know. Maybe that's an issue. Maybe I'm different in that way.
Well, what do you mean? I don't understand. In what way?
I like to just listen. I don't have wow, this is getting really personal, but whatever. Let's get into it. I don't have like the typical bullshit game stuff where I'm going to put on some stupid front, even though I probably could because I am an actor and I could play whatever character I want to. Well,
sure.
In the moment, I want to have like a deep conversation. I want to learn about this person, their life, where they come from.
Well, I think it's not to cut you off, but I feel like it's normal to if your job is to play pretend and play something that you're not all day long, every single day of your life. When you come home at night, you want to be able to be yourself around somebody. That makes sense.
And it's and like, you know, I always joke, am I oversharing? But it's wanting to be very honest because I know people say like in film, like we're telling the truth on camera, but it is pretend, and it's
our job is to fucking play pretend.
To play pretend, and it's fake. We know
people
that.
Get really pissed off when I say that too.
I know if you say that, if you use the wrong terminology in this business, it's like I wasn't rejected, I just wasn't selected. It's like okay, geez.
Okay, yeah, that means you were rejected.
Yeah.
Right?
Who gives a shit?
Exactly.
You don't have the job, but I mean, I get it. You got to play these games in your head because it is a mental battle doing this. But
no, but people think, you know, like. Yes, we are being creative and we are, you know, creating art and it's an amazing thing. We play fucking pretend.
Yeah, it's adults playing pretend. That's why kids sometimes are so good at it because they have an imagination still to be.
Oh, I just had this conversation with somebody. It's so funny you say that. But like literally, yes, we are playing pretend and we are all faking it until we make it. And if we happen to put the pieces, you learn stuff obviously and you can like hone your craft and everything. But like if you happen to put all the pieces together in the certain way that everybody enjoys watching, then like great, you did it. But like even a painter with all of their skills and everything else, is literally just taking a stick with bristles on the end and putting pigment on a piece of paper, like, or a canvas or whatever it is. Like, it's all pretend. All creative stuff is all stuff that is not real.
Right. I mean, it's
You
like,
know?
I think about that sometimes too. Like, and I wasn't doing it at my other job either, so I felt good about it. But I'm not building a bridge. I'm not saving a life. I'm not inventing something that's going to cure cancer. So I want to have some enjoyment in it. And so that I'll always put those things above it, the people that keep this country moving. I think sometimes that's forgotten about. But
Sure, I don't disagree. I will say that
But art does as well.
Oh, I was going to say,
Yeah.
so you may not cure cancer, but you might make chemotherapy treatment a little bit easier because somebody's watching you on screen.
John Krasinski said someone said that to him about The Office. Like, my dad and I watched The Office when he was sick in the hospital, and it was like the last time I saw him laugh. And I'm like, that's a great thing. Like,
It's a
you
cool
know what I mean?
moment.
Yeah, it's a cool moment. So I guess sometimes, like, you know how you were saying you'll stop a podcast if I'm in a relationship with somebody or whatever.
No, if you
I'll be
look off, if you feel off.
I'd be honest about it or talk about it, and I sometimes, I don't know. So I guess that's nothing crazy. It's not like I'm like overthinker.
Oh,
I
I'm a
hate
wicked
when people say
overthinker.
overthinker though.
Why?
Because I'm like,
I would describe myself as an overthinker.
no, but I'm like, what is overthinking? Isn't it?
It's like when you anticipate outcomes. So
Oh, I see. You're anticipating
like
too many outcomes.
the path of least resistance for human nature is to expect the worst, hope for the best.
Mhm.
But the reason that saying is expect the worst, hope for the best. Expect the worst comes first. And it's because negativity is the path of least resistance. So it's easier. I'm a big fat guy. I like, laying on the couch at night and watching Tubi or whatever it is. I could go to the gym. Least resistance. I'm going to stay fat, eat some chips or some popcorn,
I would never
and watch a
describe
movie.
you as a fat guy.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you. Whatever. That's fine. But be that as it may, what I'm saying is you take the path of least resistance naturally.
Yeah.
And it's a moment of growth and getting out of the comfort, your literal comfort space, your comfort zone, to go and do something extra. If you're going to go work out, it's an extra thing. You know what I mean? If you're going to go get a membership, if you're going to do something else. So an overthinker, how this all relates, is an overthinker will sit there and begin to, let's say it's your very first acting audition and you're an overthinker, nervous type, right?
I was very nervous on my first one.
Sure. And so you're sitting there and you're thinking, what if I don't have the right outfit on? Or what if I drop a line? Or what if all these negative things, overthinking, and it just translates across yourself.
Yeah.
When you start to really become a good actor is when you go back to that 5-year-old on the playground where you say to your group of friends, or whatever it is, like, we're going to play house. You're the dad, she's the mom, that girl can be the dog. Like that the chick with the horse binder.
No,
and shit,
exactly. Their imagination is so vivid, and they can play it so.
But it's instant.
Yeah.
And no one gives a shit, and there's no judgment, whatever. Like, you're the dad now.
Right.
It's
like that a lot with accents. People say, I can't do this accent, but you 100% could. You have a voice.
Right.
You're telling yourself you can, and when you find that in acting too, like, as far as, is this person famous? Are they a celebrity? Do they have 50 million Instagram followers? It's like, no, I know what I'm doing. I'm confident about what I'm doing. Let's have fun. You're good at what you do. This will be better then. And you really don't think, and then it's like, yeah. So I'm grateful for me. It's clicked in that arena somewhat. I'm not saying I can do everything. I can't be Leonardo DiCaprio in Killers of the Flower Moon yet, maybe.
Sure, maybe something. But he's also significantly older than you are too.
Yeah.
He's almost 50.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. Crazy.
Yep.
So, oh man, dude, the most nervous audition I ever went on was at,
yeah, tell me this. What was the most nervous audition you were ever on?
It was the first one, and it was live, and it was at CP Casting, who's cast me in some bigger stuff. They cast, them in Boston Casting are the main people that cast, like, when a movie comes here, the local hire.
Sure.
But they also do some casting for Boston University. It was a BU student film, unpaid. And I had done one of their classes, and they asked me, do you want to come in and audition for this? And I'm like, I hadn't done a film yet. I hadn't done anything yet. I did a play 9 years before that. And oh my God. So their office is in, like, Southie, in this, like, building you'd never think anything's in. A lot of these casting offices are like that. And I'm outside, chest breathing up here. And
Oh
I'm like,
my God. Hyperventilating.
and I'm listening to this, like, guided meditation, and like some of them like just make you more upset, and some of them work. But it kind of did get the breathing down. And I went in there, and the student was in there along with the casting assistant, and we did the scene. And they're like, okay, and they're like, let's try it again. And I walked out of the room, and I was like, no chance I get that, but I didn't drop a line, and I didn't throw up.
Right.
And I literally took away the positives from it. I knew I wasn't, because I had never been in that situation before. Now I walk in, and it's.
How old were you on that first audition?
Well, that was for film. That was just 5 years ago. Yeah.
How old were you?
30 or 31.
Do you feel like your 20-year-old self would have had the same like outcome when you left the audition of taking away the positives?
No. And I don't know whether I would have been more or less nervous before, but afterwards, if I didn't think, oh God, no. First of all, I'd quit.
Right.
Then I'd go find some party to go to.
Right.
Get wasted, and then text every girl on my phone. Right.
Do you think funny?
No, not in like a way like that. Like literally just you know, like you just want something
else
to get you out of this feeling of
because you're an overthinker.
Yes.
And you obsess and you continue thinking about it.
But I don't do it with the auditions anymore.
Not with the auditions. Oh, no. But I'm saying, but that's my point. So I feel like, again, not to like Dr. Phil you 100% here, but like, you know, even if you focus on that in your personal life, it would probably get better as well. Like you've mastered, or you're mastering how to do it with acting. I'm sure you still are like, oh, I hope I do a really good job with this, and like, you know, everything else when you're going on to do an acting thing.
Yeah.
But with regard to your, you know, your personal relationships and everything else, like you gotta chill a little bit, bro.
For sure. And accept that you're not the person you were when you were at 20. Because I think a lot of it is, it's interesting you picked that age. That's probably the age I hated myself the most.
Yeah.
I was just an asshole. I don't know any way to describe it.
Yeah, I was an asshole at like 8. My late teens, I was a dick to a lot of people.
Yeah.
I was not nice.
Just self-absorbed, narcissistic, and it was only about my fun and no one else's feelings. So, and being like, yeah, I've grown and matured since then. But, yeah, no, I think that's...
This past year, my 29th year.
I was going to ask if you were 30 yet.
No, and I look like I'm 50, but that's only because I own my own business. But no, this past year, I've actually felt the most significant change in myself mentally than I ever have in my entire life. Like I believe it or not, I have always been me. Always. I was 10 years old. I would rather talk to adults than people my age. Mm. Like I have always been very loud, boisterous, outgoing, class clown, all that stuff. And I still am, but I get it now. Like I get why it's important to like take things a little bit slower, and I don't know, things matter to me now that didn't matter to me like 5 years ago. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And
other things don't. Like I used to be really nervous about getting older or whatever, and like I'm excited for my 30s. Like I think it's gonna be fucking awesome.
Perspective changes a lot. I was so immature in my 20s, but even the idea of what we're doing, you mentioned like I think I'll only be famous after I die or something. I'll be honest, when I was a teenager, I thought being famous or something, that'd be pretty cool. I was doing nothing to achieve it.
Oh, sure. Well, same. Yeah.
Oh, everyone, and then you get to a certain age, you go, oh, that doesn't mean shit. Even the people you think are like, Ryan Reynolds or whatever, like he has his family and his friends who really cares about the 50 million Instagram fans or whatever it is. It's not. You're not really that connected to it. It's great they love your work and you get to do what you want, but that side of it doesn't mean as much to me. And I think had I done this when I was 20, I would have cared about that.
When I was really young, when I was in like grade school, I wanted to make movies, and I wanted to make movies to be famous.
Yeah.
And now that I actually do, that's just so the last thing on my mind, you know? And the first person I will always send a rough cut to, or the final, like a final. The first person is always my dad. I always give a link to my dad.
Great.
And I'm like, and because my dad is I'm a carbon copy of him. So all of my opinionatedness and everything is exactly because of him. But I send it to him because he'll tell me in a way that'll make me laugh, you know, or in a way that's like not too hurtful. If something's shit, he'll be like, it's shit.
You need someone
you know?
Sometimes people in the community, whether it's filmmakers or actors, like we don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, so we tell everybody everything's great, or someone sends you their self-tape. It's like, well, did you send it in? Okay, well, then it's great. Forget about it. I'm not going to give. But it's funny because my dad's similar. Like, I sometimes will show him self-tapes, even of things I got, and he'll be like, oh, whatever. My favorite audition I ever did for him was for the Good Burger 2, which just came out.
Yeah.
And he goes, that's the best one you ever did. It was perfect. It's just.
Does it mean so much when he says that?
So much because exactly. It's like certain casting people are like that when you get the compliment.
Yeah, but it's not the same as when it comes from your fucking dad.
from your dad. My dad and he's super supportive, and I love him. He's one of my best friends. But he came out to a track.
I was going to say the same about mine.
And it's great to have that relationship. Do you
feel closer to your dad as you get older?
Yeah, I mean, my dad's almost 80 now, so he's. I did, but he's starting to become kind of just an old,
too much older.
Yeah, in a sense, but I've always felt really close to him. He owned a restaurant in Boston when I was a kid, and sometimes I would skip school to bus tables for him. So I've always been tight with Dad. And but he came out to a track meet. I was in college once and flew out to L.A. And after the meet, he goes, "Well, that sucked. It looked like you were running in sand." Yeah, it's like he's just very honest. But next week, bringing it up for the fourth time now.
Finest Kind.
There it is. Is doing.
Where is that streaming?
I believe Paramount Plus December 15th.
Oh, nice. Okay.
If I had to, yeah.
One of the clips for Instagram is just going to be a thing of you going Finest Kind, Finest Kind, Finest Kind.
Please, I'll say my 5 lines too.
Yeah.
I know. They already shared one of them. Like, that's cool, but I kind of want people to think I got.
Right.
But so we missed the premiere because of the strike, or whatever. But they're doing like a screening for mostly the Massachusetts cast and crew, and the crew is pretty much all Massachusetts. Next, I shouldn't even. Well, whatever. It doesn't matter. Next week.
Yep.
Should we recut that?
No,
they're doing a screening next week.
Yeah. I could just bleep it, but that's
well.
Fine.
No
one.
It's not. The main stars won't be there.
It's
but
okay.
I'm bringing my dad to it, and I think it'll be really cool because he's the first one that brought me to movies. I mean, we saw The Perfect Storm and The Patriot on back-to-back days. Like, that was the kind of shit we did when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of a cool moment to be able to bring, I told him last night and he was super excited. So that's the kind of relationship,
Yeah, no, I love that. I was very close with my dad when I was super young, and then my teens sucked. I didn't like anybody. Really anybody in my family or anywhere else. And my parents got divorced in my late teens and everything else. But recently, over the last, I don't know, maybe 5 years or so, I feel like I understand my dad a lot more,
Yeah.
You know what it is? I've been hanging out with my cousin a lot too. My cousin's 18. He's very young and I'm 29. And just seeing I love him. I mean, the kid's he's amazing. But seeing his narcissism, his 18-year-old narcissism, and rightfully so, seeing him be in his late teens and just, discover dating and do all of these things that he's doing and, going out with his friends and me giving him advice, if your friends are drinking, don't be drinking. Don't be drinking in the car. Don't be doing a whole bunch of stupid stuff because the cops don't care. You're gonna go to jail. They don't care that you're super nice. You're gonna go to jail.
You see what our dads went through. I mean, what they tell you and what they have to put up with.
So I guess that makes me feel a little bit older in a sense, but at the same time, I used to be pissed off at my dad. My dad, he's a great guy. Great guy. When he was my age, actually, not when he was my age. Now I'm older than he was, but when he was in his early 20s, I mean, he was in and out of jail and doing drugs and drinking and doing crazy shit that I would never do,
Yeah.
And so I had this kind of these feelings of, because he would come down on me. He would be like, don't do this and that and the other thing. And instead of taking it from the perspective of I know what that's like, so don't get in trouble. I took it as I don't do anything wrong. Why are you coming down on me so hard, you fucking dick? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the reality of the situation is that he was looking out for me. He was being a good dad. And I don't know. I guess as I get older and
it's as you're seeing it more as an adult, and I think a lot of us think we're full grown adults when we're 18 just because the law might say that, or 19 or 21, and then it's this thing and you go, oh, I even understand why people want to have kids. I'm not in a position to do it right now, but even my opinion on that changed in the past 5 years a lot. And you just think of the sacrifices our parents make for us in a lot of ways. I don't know. There's a lot of appreciation now. But yeah. But
again, just as a thought, that's why it means so much to go sit at a cigar lounge with my dad for 3 hours. Like the fact that like I'm realizing, because I was talking to somebody on the phone the other day. This is totally off the film. I'm sorry, but like
No, I like it more.
I was talking to my friend on the phone the other day about something, and we both were like joking about how whatever it was we were talking about was 15 years ago. And in the moment that he said that, I remember, because I've always looked older and I've always been like outspoken, and people have always treated me like I'm older. And when I tell them my real age, it doesn't happen anymore, but when I was like 20 and I would say that I'm 20, people would be like, oh, I thought you were like the manager around here or whatever. You know, when I was in the car business, I wore a full suit every day. I looked like I was 40, but I was 23, and I was a homeowner and everything else. And like people would think I was the general manager. And I'm like, no, I'm like the lowest rung on this totem pole. Like I'm nothing, you know? And so I remember thinking like, I remember telling a customer once who said something to me about, I worked for Toyota, great company, and they were trading in a car that had like 1 million miles, like something crazy on it, right? Yeah. And they were like, yeah, last time, I haven't bought a car in a while, so you're going to have to like go through this process with me. And the last time I bought a car was like 15 years ago. And I was like, well, 15 years ago, I was 8 or whatever. Yeah. And they had this look on their face of like, oh, you're like a child, you know? And now, when my buddy and I were on the phone and we were talking about something that happened 15 years ago, I was like a freshman in high school. Like it's just a different, like 15 years is not that long anymore. It used to be my whole life, you know? It used to be my whole life. And now it's like...
You start to fall out of the youth of America trends. I don't really relate to kids in high school in any way now.
Well, look at me. I mean, I dress like I'm 60. Like, you know, I don't care. Like I'm me. And I think you don't really discover who you are until you're like about 30. You know?
Yeah, no, I'd agree with that, and some people might be lucky, and maybe they do before, and maybe it's a constant discovery. But
oh, sure, I'm sure it's ever evolving, the journey.
But also, even when you just talk about too, like that day with your dad, like you know, we all have friends now who just can't do those things, where either their parents have passed away, or they don't have that relationship, and you know, I think that's great, and it's. I was around living in my parents' house, renting a room during my acting pursuits when my grandmother passed away, my mother's mother, and she passed away. My mother was 66. She had them when she was like 20. So 66 years of her life, her mother was around, and she spent so much time with her. And I think the one night, you know, that's hard on a different level because she knew this person so long. I think her and her sister, my aunt, were really probably very grateful. I know they were very grateful that they got to spend so much time with her, and they had all these. There was no regrets in the end, and nothing was left unsaid, or we didn't not go to this thing or that. And you know, those are. I think those are the moments of life. You know, going out and doing that stuff.
It's cool. It's really cool.
It is, and it's just a different thing with like dads and sons too. I don't know. There's I mean, I have my friends that are, you know, around my age, and I have like, there's like, I used to have a shitload of friends, and I really have kind of narrowed it down, and I've weeded out a lot of like, me too, but I feel like
people in my life.
I think I was weeded out. I don't
of what?
I don't know. I used to have lots of friends too, and I'm like, where the fuck is everybody?
Well, sometimes I've done that too. But I've definitely cut myself off from a lot of people too. You know, I do that as well. But I think, genuinely speaking, like at the end of the day, like the one true like friend that I can like always rely on, like, is my dad. And the guy I'm not kidding, will be at a funeral or something. I'm not using a real example here, in case you're listening, Dad. I'm just saying. But the scenario, we could be at a funeral, and we could be on opposite pews, you know? Yeah. And he could lean forward and look at me a certain way, and I can't control, bust out laughing.
Get you to laugh?
You know? Like, because I know exactly what he's thinking, because we're the same. And we argue and fight. We don't anymore, but we used to argue and fight and get pissed off. And looking back, a lot of it is because it's like the same, like, you know how like they say like opposite, we're the same. So it's like arguing with yourself.
Yeah, same thing with me and my dad. Yeah. It improved, because my dad, I'm sure my dad's a bright guy. I'm sure your dad's a bright guy. I think it improves my argumentative skills with other people.
I would not have done nearly as well in sales or anything if my dad wasn't my dad. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like he's one of the best business people. He's one of the best sales people I've ever met in my life. Everybody loves him. He hates everybody. And And they just can't get enough. And he'll tell him, like, yeah, I'm good. I don't want to hang out with you. And they go, please hang out with me. Like, that's how my dad, everybody loves my dad. And I think that, you know, I felt a lot of, like, growing up, there was a lot of, not animosity, but just, I guess, jealousy. Because my dad would be at a family function, like a Thanksgiving. Yeah. And I would tell a story that would get a lot of laughs. And my dad would come in the end of the story with a joke that would make. Yeah. And, like, I mean, people would just pee themselves because he's so funny and charismatic and everything else. And I'd be like, okay, thanks for stealing my thunder there, Pops. Like, you know what I mean?
He's like, I'm still the guy around here. You got to work your way up.
But now, like, when he has I'll look to him for the one-upper. Like, you know what I mean? Like, now it's like, because I get it. Like, I get it. I get him. I understand him. He's just a really cool guy. He's a really, really cool guy.
Yeah, and that's it. It was. I feel like there was a period in my life where I was embarrassed to, like, admit that I was so close with my parents. That, like, there's not like, I'm just not close. Like, it almost makes you edgy or something if you're not. And it's like, no, I have plenty of other edgy areas. Like,
sure,
I'm cool with my parents.
I never had a lot of friends, like, come over to my house. I used to be the one to go over to other people's houses all the time.
Yeah.
But, like, part of the reason for that, I'm just saying, I'm gonna tell a story. I'm sorry. My dad, I would have, like, my friend over, and then my dad would become friends with my friend, and then tell me, he'd be like, go run upstairs and grab your teddy bear or something for a few hours. And, like, it's funny because it's funny on the outside, but when you're, like, 15, you know, and you're, like, raging hormones and everything else, and you just want to kill everybody in your you know, in your sight.
It's crushing.
And he would just laugh. He would laugh. He's such a good guy. I don't know.
It's like,
really cool. This should be like a Father's Day episode. I don't know. I feel like
it's this theme. Dude, my dad ran a bar, and, like, a bunch of my friends, well, some of them closer than others, but, like, all people we kind of hung out at different times, worked for him, and they, like, just would love, like, telling stories about, like, it would be, I kind of wasn't the coolest guy in the room once he was around. Like, there's shoot the shit with him.
Yeah.
So I related to that. But this theme I've noticed, I mentioned it to bring it back to film. I did that short film Boundaries with my friend Kevin Conley. I did this other film Pea Brain with this guy Steve Blackwood. Both adult son and father relationships, you know, towards the end of life or someone's passed away. I was attached to another one that hasn't been filmed yet. And fifth time, Finest Kind is ultimately a story about father and son. I mean, that's what the real main plot is.
I lose my shit every time I watch any father-son film of any kind. Like, by the end of it, whenever there's like I love you, son, any of that stuff, I'm like, that's so good.
Oh, good. Know? That's like some of my favorite moments. So it's yeah.
Oh, I'm super emotional when it comes to movies. Like,
I did have. It wasn't just to bring it up for the fifth time, and I'll find a way to do a sixth before you cut. But
I'm sure
every single creative person behind the writers and directors of all of those 5 things that I mentioned, all same age range, like early to mid 60s. And I was just wondering if, like, at some point in that age, maybe you think about your own relationship with your father, and then your own kids. They all have kids of their own, and I just found it to be like this interesting theme that was kind of going on. I don't know.
No, I don't know either. I really don't. I feel like as I approach and embrace my 30s, I am...
Dirty 30.
Yeah, I know. I'm excited for what the future has to offer. I feel great. I'm healthy. I'm happy. I'm, running a business. If you had told my 15-year-old self that I'd be where I am at now, I would have laughed at you. I would have said, I'm going to be in jail, or I'm going to be, fuck everybody. And I'm really appreciative of the people that I have in my life, including you. I really am. I'm happy. No, I'm serious. I'm happy. You don't get it, man. Like, certain people come into your life, and it's just like, oh, I'm gonna know that person forever. And the day that I got your audition, I was like, if this kid doesn't do it, we
talked in your office for, I think, like 3.5 hours. When we met live after that. I didn't even think we read the script.
Yeah,
you're like, so anyways, you want to do it?
How about the fact? I mean, and I attach myself to people. Like, we did the table read for that. It was on Zoom, except you came into the studio and everybody else was on Zoom.
Yeah, I was in the studio.
I thought that was hilarious. Like, in my head, I'm thinking like, oh, this is great. I love it. I love having Brian here. I loved it.
I loved it too, because I think that was outside of like a student film. That was the first time I was I hate to say this, but like the lead or whatever.
Sure.
And I was kind of like, Yeah, I'm with the director.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
What are you
I
guys in
love
your
that.
homes? Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny.
We're don't worry about where we are.
Right.
We're in,
right.
So
I think it's okay to have moments like that though too. Like you should be able to like live in the moment.
Enjoy some of those things.
Why not?
And there also is too, like in all honesty too, when you are like a lead character or 1 or 2 on the call sheet, whatever it is, there is more work and it is a different thing. I
would change so much about that if I could go back.
What, like, that movie? That show?
Yeah. Like there's so much more that I would want to do. And I don't want to get too much into it because I don't want to talk down about anybody like in particular. It's not even necessarily negatives, but I would tighten it up a little bit better and do some different things.
Yeah. Well, of course. I mean, I would do some things probably different too, although there's still a lot of moments I liked from it. But yeah, I mean, I think overall, I remember the rough cut being like, I was like, oh yeah, this is good. I follow it. I think the performances are all solid.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I just know. I think that we shot that in like 2021, like March of 2021. Yeah. I have learned more in the last like 3 years than any college could teach me. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Like just about the industry and the way things work, and like the craft itself, and like knowing where I would want the camera to be, and like how to talk with, DPs and everything. I mean, the entire cast and crew. I mean, everybody worked really hard on that. It was good. It was a good production. But even still, just even the script and just some other things, and I could have been more involved directorially, and I don't know.
But it's cool. I think probably everybody, if you ask them from that set and cast and crew, would probably say something pretty similar.
Yeah,
many people would be like, "Well, I did my best work 3 years ago, and it's never going to happen." You always want to be.
I've said this with Kyle. Like, I want to strive for perfection every time, and I never want to hit perfection. Like, it's because I just feel like when you're perfect, you're done. You know what I mean?
What you were saying about when I'm 15, I wouldn't picture all this. What about even like just a couple years ago? Like a couple years ago, I wanted, and I'm like, oh, I'd be so pumped with the stuff I have now. But now I want more.
I thought I was going to run the car dealership.
Yeah.
This is the first time in my life, this most recent pursuit of this over the past 5 years. This is the first time in my life where I'm doing something for me, genuinely for me. Yeah. I went in the car business because I thought because I didn't go to college, I went in the car business thinking I'm going to like be the best salesperson I can be. And then I went to finance, and I'm like, okay, I'm moving up through the ranks, so eventually I'll just be the GM, and I'll just work here till I drop dead. And like, I'll just be the car, Nick the car guy. And I fucking hate cars. I hate cars.
You could sell them.
You're talking to a person where when they would say, like, can we have a look under the hood? I would say, yeah, sure, you can pop the hood. Because I didn't know how to pop the hood of the car on some of the models. And when we'd open it up, it was a big plastic cover over everything. And I would say, it's a nice plastic cover there.
I got my oil change yesterday, and I like one of those like Valvoline Jiffy Lube type
Sure.
And because I got a new car and ran out the Toyota free ones, and I love when they come over and they like show you the oil stick. I'm like, as you can see, I'm like, I don't know what the fuck I'm looking at. Like, you're showing me a stick. I think that's oil on it. I don't know if it's clean or dirty.
Right, and I think so. It is funny. So
I have no idea.
I was just the way that you like put that right there. I was thinking in my head about a conversation I had with somebody else recently who wasn't necessarily shitting on what I do for a living, but was kind of lacking in seeing the value of filmmaking or anything like that, anything creative. And I was like, but you couldn't do it. The same way I couldn't do your job because I don't know anything about it. Like, I think everyone, if you know anybody who's a filmmaker of any kind, just ask, because people love showing off. Creative people love showing off. Ask to go sit on a film set next to the director, or not in the way, but just go visit a film set, because it's a fucking construction zone. Like, it is insane.
It almost, like, in some ways looks exactly like a construction site, and even the most basic
I stole that
things.
from Sam Luca. Sam, it was a great line. Go ahead. Sorry.
Line, yeah. I described to somebody like, okay, we got camera there because they're watching a show. And I'm like, single camera, trying to describe it to people. I go, okay, the 2 characters here. Then they're going to move the cameras over there.
You redo the whole thing all over again.
And then they're like, I never thought of it that way. I go, yeah, it's weird. We don't. Because I didn't either until I did it. And then I'm like, then someone has to edit that together and figure out which takes work the best. And this whole process, I'm like, it's madness. Even putting one scene together.
Yes, I totally agree with you. I'm sorry. I'm an asshole.
Holy shit. We have been talking for a minute.
2:28. Yeah. 2 hours, 28 minutes. Yeah.
What's your record?
This Might be. I've done longer ones, but I've cut hours out of podcasts before, like whole hours.
There's probably some stuff you can cut, but any of the stuff, like, there's nothing that I think I've said. Did I shit on the studios at one point? Maybe we can cut that out.
I don't think you did anything bad.
We should probably cut out me saying I shit on the studio. No, we're actors. I never know. With SAG was shitting on the studios for a while. I'm like,
yeah,
hire us.
Just don't shit on my studio.
My thing was that whole like independent this and that. I'm like, you're all part of the same money making team. I don't know what the fuck. Like you're all massive. Like we were talking about the conglomerates and everything, and the Peacocks and the CBS. And
yeah,
I don't think
yeah, I think you're fine.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, like we were talking about nepotism for a minute, for like a brief second. You said the word nepotism, and I was gonna jump into something about Lily Rose Depp, and
who is that?
Johnny Depp's daughter.
Okay, but I figured that because of the name.
Yeah,
but
she's actually really good.
Yeah, what is she on? She's famous for something.
Oh, okay.
Some show.
So she,
or no?
Yeah, she was in a show called.
So, the Deadline articles, you see Lily Rose Depp. I'm like, who is it?
Yeah, because it was twisted. It was like Euphoria, but it wasn't. It was. I reviewed the fucking.
Dude, I watched a bit of Euphoria. It's amazing, but I'm like, I don't remember high school like this. I remember kids smoking weed and drinking. I don't remember this much. Like,
okay, but do you remember high school being like High School Musical either? I mean, it's high school in.
Yes.
No. High school in movies and TV is never like high school.
I know. I just think Euphoria went to the total. Oh yeah. We've talked about this before. You really like Euphoria.
I like the cinematography and the acting.
The cinematography is incredible.
And I personally don't have any like horrible experiences with drug use, but I have family members and tons of friends in recovery, and I've lost a lot of friends to overdose and drug use and stuff like that. Yep. And so I'm very close to the subject. And Euphoria does it really well.
Does it
really, really well?
The Zendaya, I always say her name right. Her like withdrawal sequence and everything was done so well.
It's fucking brilliant, man.
Look, like Angus Cloud passed away. I mean, it's so sad. Like that,
dude. Don't even get me started. Yeah. Like I'll lose it. Like I was torn. Like I was torn up about it. I've never met the kid in my life. Like I don't know him.
He was so great.
He was really good, and that was his first role. And his father passed away, and he was really close with his father, and he just kind of went down a bad path.
Yeah,
it's really sad, really, really sad.
And then, and it's like this show, in a way, it's fitting that he did this show that brings awareness to that thing, because I think you watch that show and in the users, you're like, these aren't bad people. These are people who
users aren't usually bad people.
That's the thing. Yeah, it's interesting sometimes to me. Sometimes like the attention and sympathy that even suicide will get versus an overdose, and I'm like, it's really kind of two different versions of the same thing. Think about it.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate that a lot of times that the addict in those situations is looked at as a person with some sort of moral failing or a bad person.
I feel like usually when they're looked at that way, it's coming from a place of ignorance, and I mean that in the literal sense of the word, not the slang like, oh, you're ignorant. I mean, like, people who aren't close to addiction and aren't close to people that have struggled with any sort of substance abuse, like they just have no. It's very similar to like a homophobic family, as an example, and then someone in the family comes out as gay, and everybody loves gay people now.
Yeah, and all of a sudden,
because you realize that like it doesn't, you know what I mean?
That's actually a really, I wouldn't have wanted to. But I get exactly what you're saying.
I know, but I don't mean that there's something, you know what I'm saying?
No, like it's a very good comparison about your family and friends accepting or understanding what's going on with you.
And going through the shit. And listen, addiction is like fucking brutal for everyone involved, including the user. But it's like it affects so many like avenues of your life, and it's so detrimentally fucking horrible.
Yeah.
That like if you have that attitude toward it of like that person's a piece of shit, you clearly have never dealt with someone who has. Like,
even with Chris Farley and stuff, a lot of people still talk of him as like this party guy, and I'm like, dude, he died on his floor with a bunch of heroin and cocaine,
and the hooker that he hired just took a picture of it. Yeah,
and Belushi's death was very similar, and with Angus, I look at it, I think I don't think people looked at him as the party guy. It's like, oh, he was doing a show about this, everyone loved him, and he died from this. This is like an illness. It truly is a disease. You know, whatever terminology you want to use. But
Sure.
I know this is a sad way to end, but rest in peace to Angus. I didn't mean to bring up sad things.
No, it's not about sad or happy. It's just, I don't know. It's a good conversation, man. I love having you here. I wish you didn't live so far. I feel like a lot of people that I have on this program are from very far away, but I would have all of you on constantly every week. If
I would be
could.
down to do even like if we had, although it might be kind of a mess with multiple people. You've had multiple people.
Yeah, I've had you can do up to 3 people and me.
Yeah, if we did.
But you can't really do the Nick Williams show without Nick Williams.
Who would you put with me in a group? I'm curious.
I think, so like Sarah Oshman would be cool to have you on with her.
Oh yeah, I haven't seen her since we did the thing.
I know. I think it'd be a cool little reunion, little reprise there.
Yeah.
I don't know. Usually when I think of having people on, I think of crew people usually.
Yeah.
But like, so you're part of the select few like actors that I've had on so far anyway.
I met people on your set that I've worked with, like Charlie Norton several times.
Charlie Norton's great. I'd love to have Charlie on.
And you had Colin Munson on? I
Yeah.
believe he was AC or something on Four of a Kind. He did something, didn't he?
Yeah. Well, now he like DP stuff.
Now
I mean, he's incredible. Colin is fucking incredible.
Well, and Charlie was like this like kid from like Hofstra, this college kid, and now he's like making like really great films and really
he's doing amazing stuff. And that's the cool
awesome.
thing too about this is like the journey and your portfolio of work. It's like I would never shit on stuff that I did early on, but it's cool. Like it has its place, and it's cool to see the beginning to the end of everything. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, I was just saying, like Four of a Kind. Like I would change things, I would tighten things up, whatever. But like it has its place in my history. You know?
Yeah,
and I like that.
Absolutely, me too. Like I said, that one scene was in my reel for a long time. I don't know if anyone watched
Jaden was on that set too. Jaden was he was a PA on that set. Little blonde PA from Hofstra that Charlie called.
Oh, yeah, okay, I remember. Yeah.
He DP'd both of those films. And he was just a little PA, little 18-year-old PA.
See, that was a time too where I think we still had to at times, or people would like wear masks, and if you didn't know them well, it was kind of hard to remember their faces.
Sure.
So annoying. But so yeah, I do remember who you're talking about now.
He's like probably one of the most talented kids I've ever met in my life. I mean, it's like, and that's the other thing too, is like I love, like I literally am enthralled and so inspired by everyone I've ever worked with. Evan Schneider, amazing.
Yeah.
Just work ethic alone. Forget the talent. He's very talented, but even if you just put that aside, work ethic, the guy just shows up and then he doesn't stop moving.
We used to go to the same gym for a while, and I mean, he would be there before I got there and after I left. And you know, even that, like the guy's just like a workhorse. It seemed like
it's insane. Walter Stone, I want to have Walter on really bad. Walter's the gaffer.
Yeah.
And he has.
Was that Four of a Kind where I met him?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. He has.
Was he in one of your films? Did he have a role?
Yeah,
in that one.
In Training Wheels. Yeah.
I thought it was really good.
Yeah, it was good. It was like, a good moment.
Damn, the guy's a good natural actor.
Oh, he was like horrified too the whole
really?
time.
It was great.
He was funny. Like we're very close. Like we have very similar sense of humor. And I was like, we need a spot for this. Do you want to roll in the film? Like, will you do these couple of lines? Very quick scene. And he was like, yeah, sure, whatever. And then we got to set to do it. Yeah, and he was like, okay, I'll do it. Like he was a little nervous, you know.
A little different when the lights come on.
But he has a degree in like writing, and he's built. I mean, the career that man has built for himself, and like the stuff that he's done. Like he's done so many different things that I love having Walter on set because I can always be like, what would you do here? And he's like, well, when I worked on this huge film, we did this. Or like the thing we were talking about with Oppenheimer and the projector.
Yeah.
That's something Walter would come up with on the fly. Because he's been on enough sets where they've tried enough shit to be like, that worked over here. You know what I mean?
I totally get what you mean.
That's fucking wealth of knowledge, that guy. It's
that's amazing. Even why I do something simple. Like I do a lot of self-tapes. You see the script, someone's like, you know, how do you do like a walk and talk where you're not looking at him? I'm like, oh yeah, I know the substitute for this on a self-tape. And like, because you want to put that bullshit together quickly.
Sure.
Yeah, so a guy like that on set for sure. No, they were out like an outdoor like eatery type place or something. Yeah. I remember.
Yeah, it was right out front.
I was like, I think that guy was on the crew and he's fucking good.
Yeah. Oh, I know. It's hilarious because he is really good.
That was a great film, by the way.
And the other kid in that is someone who I want to work. I would love the dynamic between you and the main character in that, Ryan Curley. He was
really good.
Dude, Ryan is so humble
Yeah.
and so like not self-deprecating because he knows he's good, but he is like he doesn't post anything on his social media.
Yeah,
and
no,
I'm like, what the fuck are you doing?
We follow each other because you mentioned him and we followed. What do you go to, like Pace or something?
Yeah, he goes to Pace. Yeah. He's so good, man. He's so fucking good.
Well, truthfully, he probably gets that. Like you don't have to necessarily. I mean, you don't have to be on social media necessarily. I like it. It's like my acting page. I don't have a website.
Sure.
It's its own flex.
I guess it is.
I mean, I
want to strangle him, but he's like
oh, because it's your shit too.
Yeah, no, yeah. But like he's so like for someone who's, I mean, now I think he might be 20 now, but when we shot that he was 18, and for someone so young to be so heavily committed to a craft, it's fucking awe-inspiring.
Be that good at it.
It's fucking it's like another thing. You know when you see some people, like, I don't know, if you're like, did you play any sports in school, like growing up? Like cross country?
Well, no, but I played basketball too.
Okay, so you know how like there's like the basketball kids in high school?
Yeah.
And then there's like that one kid who's like, yeah, the NBA is going to pick that guy up.
Yeah.
That's Ryan when it comes to acting, in my opinion.
They already do it like they have the natural ability and the work ethic at a very young age, and they just
very mature way to like very omniscient way of looking at the world, can totally separate himself from any character, and will do literally anything.
Those are when they say like, oh, like, you know, is it bad to have your kid in acting, child stars, this and that? I'm just like, it depends, like if the parents are forcing them in it,
right? But who's the kid too?
Yeah, who's the kid? And is it just someone that's really naturally talented? I mean, not, you know, or maybe good looking or good for this right thing, and then like where are they at with it? Because I don't think every child star goes on to be whoever. There's plenty of examples of people throughout history that had, look at the cloud of vape smoke I created.
Yeah, well, what are you gonna do? It creates a nice little haze for the environment.
Yeah, it's like this smoke stuff that they do on vlog, whatever.
Yeah, well, that's cool. Is there anything else? Is there anything you want to plug? Anywhere people can follow you or anything like that? You know, Mr.
I'm trying to think if there's a movie coming up on December 5th. No kidding.
Yeah, no, Paramount Plus, stream it. If you don't have Paramount Plus already, you should get the free trial. I would wait until December starts so that you can stay within your free trial.
Yeah, exactly.
But like, yeah, no, definitely watch Finest Kind.
Yeah, it's you know what it is? It's a watchable thing for a wide audience. That's why I mentioned it. There's a bunch of there's this indie film I did last year called Orange Crush, which is still being edited. I can't wait to share that one too. But Instagram, it's at Brian McDonald Real. And that's really the only social media I use.
Cool.
And yeah,
we'll keep in touch, man. Thank you so much for coming in, man.
Thank you.
It's like you drive far, you know. Like, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
It was fun.
Yeah, that's great. Is there anything? I just don't want to leave anything on the table. Is there anything else you want to say? Are you good?
It'd be nice if I had something really inspiring and deep to say, but
you don't.
I know.
That's okay. Well, I'd love to have you back on at some point in the future.
Yeah, for sure. This time of day, it was only because there was a little bit of road work on Route 1, which was random, but it's not that bad. I drive all day. I do like Uber and DoorDash and shit, so it's not like...
Oh, cool. Good stuff.
I wish I didn't end with that. Finest Kind, December 15th.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, it's deeper when you go close.
A little bit,
it's
yeah.
Like,
it's a little...
Hey now.
Like ASMR. Yeah,
hey now.
Yeah. That's great. I love it. Good stuff. Awesome, man. Well, thank you so much for coming in, and check out Finest Kind on December 15th. I had to say it again.
That's cool. Can I pee before I go?
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
I probably could have waited till we were done.
Probably, but that seems like a Brian way to do it.
Yeah,
that's fine. All right. Thanks, Brian.
Bye.